Okay. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. A little twist tonight. We've got about 20 feet between us here on the dais and a bunch of plastic partitions up, or plexiglass partitions. So a couple of us are not going to wear a mask because just a little bit easier to understand us. And I've gotten some feedback on the Zoom calls that it's sometimes hard to understand us. But in any case, I've actually also been fully vaccinated at this point. So because my role at OneBlood, I've had the vaccine now I've had the 2 doses of the vaccine. So for what that's worth at this point. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And Mauricio, would you like to call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. Commissioner Goldman?
Here.
Commissioner Vizcarra?
Here.
Commissioner Lama?
Here.
Vice Mayor Stetson? Mayor Scholl?
Here.
We have a quorum present, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you're at home, you may not have to stand, but us in the chambers are going to stand. And I'm going to lead it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, our invocation tonight is from Rabbi Kaler. And as I tease him, he has his rabbi hat on tonight, not his developer hat. So Rabbi Kaler, if you're out there, Mauricio is gonna buzz you in.
1 second, Mayor. Okay, he's ready to speak.
Okay, there we are. Good to see you.
Good to be here. And before the invocation, I want to say Mazel Tov for the record. Mazel Tov to the new grandfather, and Mazel Tov on the arrival of another Sunny Isles Beach born member of the community.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City staff. We stand tonight, a week before the festival of Purim, celebrating the miraculous salvation of the Jewish people in ancient Persia. The biblical book of Esther tells us that when Mordechai asked his cousin Queen Esther to use her influence to avert Haman's plan for annihilation of the Jewish people, she was afraid. She didn't believe she had much chance of success, and the attempt would put her position and her life at risk. Why stick her neck out, literally, for an attempt that would probably fail? Mordechai rebuked her for this cowardice, and he said, if you are silent at this time, relief and rescue will come to the Jews in some other way, but you and your family will be lost. And who knows, perhaps it was for just such a time that you achieved royalty. You didn't get where you are by accident. God Almighty put you there, and he did it for a reason. It may well be that the reason he made you a queen was to give you this opportunity to act for your people and go down in history as a hero. And if you let it go, God will find some other way to achieve his will. But you and your whole family will be consigned to infamy. All of us in this chamber, all of you in this chamber are where you are for a reason. We did not achieve our respective positions by an accident or by our own efforts alone. God selected us and put us there so that we can do his will. Sooner or later, we will each be challenged to do what is right rather than what is convenient or safe. And if we refuse that challenge, our careers will have been for nothing. Almighty God, help our elected officials to remember this. Give them the wisdom to recognize your call when it comes and the courage to grasp the nettle firmly so your will shall be done. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. That was lovely. Have a great evening and appreciate it. Thank you.
Pleasure to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So For the record, what the rabbi was referring to is my daughter delivered my first grandchild last night at my home in Sunny Isles Beach. So, so Fiona Elizabeth Felicioto is our new addition to our family. And I said she's a real hometown girl because she was actually delivered in Sunny Isles Beach in our home. So my family's thrilled, and I appreciate all the well wishes that I received today. And thank you very much, Rabbi, for mentioning it. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes, which is item 3A. We've got summary minutes from the hybrid regular city commission meeting of January 21st. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Okay, and hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So so thank you. Okay. We've got some changes to our order of business. I'm going to read my opening statement and then I'll mention those changes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. Please ensure that your microphone is muted to avoid interrupting the proceedings tonight. Individuals who want to speak on any item on the agenda are asked to use the raise hand function, which can be located by following these steps. If you're using an iPad, tap the center of your screen, tap on the three dots located on the top right-hand corner, select raise hand. If you're using a desktop, click on participants at the bottom of your screen, which opens a side window listing all the participants. And on the participant screen, click on the three dots located on the bottom left-hand corner and select raise hand. If you called in and are listening on your phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and the city clerk will call on you based on the last 4 digits of your phone number. When called upon, please state your name and address for the record. Speakers may also use the chat function to submit their comments and questions. These chats are only available to the commission and the host or chair will read it into the record. The chat function is located at the bottom of the screen. Please make sure to type in your name and address for the record. Speakers are asked to speak to the issues, make comments concise and to the point, and refrain from making duplicate comments. And tonight we're going to limit all speakers to 3 minutes because we have a lot of speakers. So, so usually if we're in a meeting, I try to let folks go, but tonight we're going to stick to the 3-minute rule, and there'll be a timer on the screen. If you exceed the 3-minute allotment, the chair will advise you to finish your comment. If you don't adhere to the chair's advice, your microphone will be turned off. After item 7A, the commission will resource and convene as the local planning agency for approval of the LPA resolution relating to the 10-year water supply. The LPA will adjourn and the commission will reconvene. There are changes to tonight's agenda. Item 5A is deferred. Item 10N is withdrawn. And there's 3 add-on items. 10N is now a resolution opposing Florida Congress bills regarding preemption from regulating home-based businesses. 10O is a resolution approving a short list of architectural firms. And 12C is a discussion regarding in-person commission meetings. I ask for a motion to approve these changes to tonight's agenda. So moved by Vice Mayor Sechin. Second by Commissioner Goldman. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to say a few words to open the meeting tonight and let my commission say a few words. We had a tragic accident in the city, and these things are terrible. It happened last week, and a child was struck by a car crossing 163rd Street. The first thing we did was I called the family, and I offered the family the full support of our community and our city. The next thing we did was we reached out to the DOT and said, you know, what can be done on this street regarding distracted driving? This is the worst type of accident because it wasn't reckless driving, it was distracted driving. So there were 2 cars stopped at the stoplight while the people were crossing the street, and a 3rd car just ran right by him. So clearly the driver was distracted. So the DOT actually responded on this one. So I want to commend staff, and I'm going to read just an excerpt from what they said. And they said, this is coming from the district secretary of the DOT, who really has the authority to make these decisions. And he said that we've reviewed the circumstances of the pedestrian crash last week on Sunny Isles Boulevard at Gateway Park. It is particularly tragic that the collision should have been easily avoided. The pedestrian signal was working as intended, and the crash was caused by a driver that ran the red light, and other vehicles were stopped at the crosswalk at the time of the crash should have provided an additional clue or cue for the driver to stop as well. we've determined some actions to improve pedestrian safety. I'm going to take these just, I'm going to read the whole thing, but lighting. We'll take advantage of a roadway project that's scheduled to start construction in September to build additional street lights at the crosswalk. They'll be more conspicuous and improve visibility for all roadway users. Pavements and markage and signing. We have our maintenance crews installing PEDXing ahead pavement markings in advance of the crosswalk within the next 60 to 90 days to improve driver awareness. And we'll also include pedestrian crossing ahead warning signs with flashers as part of the summer project. And then they've had an ongoing education and enforcement campaign, which they team up with our police department, and they're going to continue to do that over the next 6 weeks to continue to implement an education enforcement campaign focused on bicycle and pedestrian safety. So this was obviously, you know, a terrible circumstance. We're going to talk more about it with item 12B. We obviously also reached out to our chief. We had a lot of outpouring from the community supporting this family, supporting, a lot of folks reached out to the family, but also, you know, a lot of frustration with our community regarding traffic safety in the city. So our police department also, I think if anybody's been up and down Collins this week, you know, they're also significantly stepping up enforcement of traffic laws. And I just bring this up in the beginning of the meeting because I want everybody to know we take this stuff extremely seriously. We hear you. And basically, we took all the actions that we really have within our power to take, I believe, you know, very, very quickly. And again, you know, these are things that we should always be taking these actions. And frankly, we do, because in case you've noticed the last couple of years, you know, police cars are in the middle of Collins Avenue all the time with their lights on, trying to mitigate traffic, you know, and trying to mitigate speeding. And so it's an ongoing issue in our city. But we're gonna have public comment and more comment on item 12B. I'll let anybody on the commission say a few words who may want to speak to this, you know, briefly before we start the meeting. Anybody want to go? Okay. Yep, Commissioner Goldman.
So I want to reserve a lot of commentary for the discussion, because I think my whole philosophy about this is we need to hear from the residents, because this is one event, but obviously we're looking at the gestalt, the whole picture. So just really, again, want to commend the swift and effective action taken on behalf of our city administration and our staff and so forth to mitigate, you know, this extreme circumstance on this crosswalk. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity throughout the community to address some of the larger concerns.
Thank you, Commissioner Goldman. Anyone else? Okay, Vice Mayor, you're on mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly, I as well have been in touch with the family. We spoke at length, and if they are listening tonight, I want them to know that we continue to pray for them, and we're going to do everything in our power to help them. I know the school has been very affected by this. My own kids have been very affected by this. This is probably the most serious thing that's happened here I can remember. So I just want them to know that we're constantly thinking of them.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. We're going to proceed with the meeting. And like I said, you know, to Commissioner Goldman's point, we're going to, item 12B, we're going to open up the general discussion for the public. Okay. Item 5A was deferred. So we're going to start with the one last thing I wanted to bring up. I'm sorry. Again, stay vigilant regarding COVID. I know I sound like a broken record. I bring this up every meeting. As you know, once again, you know, my role at One Blood, I stay very close to this. We are not out of the woods. I'll tell you that the number of positives are going down, which is a good thing, okay? We've had a pretty robust vaccination program. There's a lot of misinformation regarding vaccinations. I mean, which really frustrates me, because this is probably one of the, you know, medically and scientifically, from what I understand, this is one of the safer vaccines to come along in a long time. So I would just encourage anybody, when you're able to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. I've never even taken a flu shot, you know, or any pharmaceuticals for the last 30 years, and I took this vaccine. So, so I'm just telling you that, I believe that it's material, and I believe that it can help you. So, but I would still say we need to stay vigilant regarding COVID. We are not out of the woods. It's still spreading in our community, especially in South Florida. I mean, everybody from the country's coming here because we have nice weather. You can be outside. Our restaurants are open. I mean, I'm happy for our economy, but it's still creating a situation that we need to be vigilant. So don't be fooled by the amount of people on the street because it's still out there. And so that's really the point I wanted to make. So thank you. Okay. Let's go on to item 5B. Mr. City Manager, or Mauricio, you want to read it or we just give it to Chris?
No, the manager can just go ahead into it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
As you know, every year, usually in December, but because of all the activity under COVID, was delayed until now for our employees of the year. As I always mention, this is something that is comes from the employees themselves. The nominations come from coworkers, supervisors, managers, department directors, anyone. This year, it was a very difficult choice. We had a number of very worthy recommendations, but we brought it down to 3 very valuable employees. The first one is Humberto Martinez Sr. Humberto also retired today. Today was his last day. And the best part of this story is it took his son 2 weeks to talk him into staying a couple of weeks longer. He was supposed to retire a couple of weeks ago, but his son was able to convince him to stay on until today. And we actually had this award given yesterday at what would have been our December senior department head meeting. Humberto is just, I'm not going to read all the detail in here, but there is a guy who works hard and is dedicated, doesn't miss a day, has done every single thing we've asked him to do with the CDC regulations, other normal work issues and problems. This guy is one of the most flexible. I've never heard him say no. I've never heard him take on a project, that he couldn't handle. And I want to wish him well in his retirement. And I'm hoping he changes his mind at some point. He may want to come back. But Humberto has been an excellent employee. The second recipient is maybe one of our fairly newer employees, but definitely extremely smart and dedicated. Yaroslav Lavitskas. Yaro, as he's called, has been a go-to person in our IT department for the whole time he's been here. He's moved up the ladder. He's been the force behind the beach Wi-Fi. He's helped with a number of solutions for numerous problems we've had with things like the SIB TV, and the initiative he takes and his can-do attitude is evident on just about with everybody who he interacts with. And last, but far from least, and one of our most steadfast, reliable people, Mike Tribby. Mike, I know all of you know, and he is such a behind-the-scenes guy, but I'll tell you, I mean, he figured out all our virtual programming to get through this past year, and we led the way on a lot of it with municipalities. Quality and quantity of work, that's Mike. I mean, he is the ever-ready battery in the little rabbit, as they say. It's just unbelievable. He handled the design and specifications for all the AV equipment that is in our new Gateway Center, that hopefully we can have a grand opening one of these weeks or months. And there's so much more I can say about Mike, but I think everybody knows already. He is one of our most steadfast, reliable people. So with that, I congratulate all of them. And did we show the picture of the group? There they are. Yeah. Sorry. And thank you and congratulations to our recipients.
Very nice. Thank you, Chris. And congratulations to everyone. Every one of these folks has got the best attitude I've ever seen, honestly. Mike's always happy. Umberto, they're all this, they're all just really good people, and they're all very positive people, which when you go in and you work day in and day out, it's just very nice to have those kind of folks around. So I think every one of them deserves, deserves the credit that they're receiving this evening. So thank you, Chris. Okay, we're going to move on to ordinances for first reading, which is item 7A. Mauricio?
Item 7A is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, creating Chapter XX of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, entitled Polystyrene Products, providing for legislative intent, providing for definitions, providing for the prohibition on carrying polystyrene products by individuals and temporary vendors onto city property or city facilities, providing for the prohibition on the use of and carrying of polystyrene products by the city contractors and special event permittees operating on city property or city facilities, providing for penalties, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. And this is first reading.
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Back in September of 2020, we had a discussion regarding the banning of polystyrene products. At that point in time, soon after that meeting, we sent out a memorandum to all of you regarding cities and counties that have already adopted ordinances prohibiting them, and also providing you information regarding the pendency of a lawsuit involving the city of Coral Gables. To update that, city of Coral Gables attempted to not only ban the use and carrying of polystyrene products by individuals, but they also tried to prohibit stores from utilizing it. That's where they ran afoul of the law. They lost. Actually, they won in the trial court. They lost that on appeal. They took an appeal to the Florida Supreme Court, and the Florida Supreme Court declined jurisdiction to hear that appeal. So that's over, and that part of Coral Gables ordinance is invalid. This proposed ordinance does not do that. This proposed ordinance is solely for individuals and other people bringing polystyrene products onto city property, and prohibiting that from going on, and also from us interacting with anybody who's going to use any polystyrene products, as well as folks like who might want to rent out Gateway. They won't be able to bring those products onto city-owned property. So this is first reading, and it's up to you to decide how you want to proceed.
Great, thank you. Okay, Mauricio, do you have any comments from the public on this one?
Yes, we do, Mayor. If you give me
Okay.
1 second, I will bring it up. Okay, the first comment comes from, and I'm sorry I mispronounced the last name, but it's a little difficult. Anastasia Milakina, I believe it's how it's spelled. Pronounced. Okay, so I am a founder at Lean Orb. We are a Florida-based company specializing in compostable food service packaging. We design and supply eco-friendly to-go containers, cups, plates, cutlery, bags, and straws. Beyond products, we spend time consulting our customers on best packaging based on their food specification, waste reduction practices, and budget available. We are proud members of Greater Miami and the Beaches Hotel Association, Surfrider Foundation, Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, and other environmental groups. As resident of Miami-Dade County, Surfrider activist, volunteer member of this community, I care deeply about our environment and keeping unnecessary and toxic single-use plastics and polystyrene out of the ocean. This Thursday, I am asking you to please pass and vote yes on Ordinance 7A, which will help us protect and show care for our ocean, beaches, and waves.
Okay.
Then
Thank you.
the next one, we got a few, Mayor. I'm sorry, just bear with me. Okay, the next one comes from Catherine Sauter. And it's the same exact comment as the previous one. So there's no need to read that into the record. And then one more, Mayor. And then this one comes from Joanna Rabinovich. And it says, Dear Mayor, Commissioners, and City Manager, I support an ordinance restricting harmful polystyrene, aka styrofoam, on city property. Beaches, and parks. Here's why. Polystyrene is harmful to humans. According to the EPA, styrene is a suspected carcinogen. This chemical migrates from foam containers into our food. Heated foods or drinks are likely to have plastic chemicals leach into them. Styrene also appears to mimic estrogens in the body, disrupting normal hormone functions and possibly contributing to thyroid problems, menstrual irregularities, and other hormone-related problems, as well as breast cancer and prostate cancer. Recycling is almost impossible. Although there is a recycling symbol on most polystyrene containers, the EPA reported in 2010 that only 1% of polystyrene was recycled. Due to these barriers to recycling polystyrene, its ubiquitous presence in disposable packaging, and its tendency to drift away on currents of wind and water, it has become an abundant form of plastic pollution on land and in waterways. I regularly pick up trash on my beach walks, and can tell you that foam is a major contributor to litter pollution in Sunny Isles Beach. The little bits of polystyrene are by far the most insidious form of litter, nearly impossible to collect. Polystyrene poses a widespread threat to the health of wild animals and the ecosystems that depend on them. This is especially true in ocean ecosystems. There is a major component of the plastic debris there, and where the wind, sun, rain, and wave action steadily degrades styrofoam into carcinogenic component molecules. Foamed polystyrene leaches these toxins into the ocean, and some animals, like birds and turtles, mistake small bits of styrofoam for food, which causes them to die of malnutrition. I urge the City Commission to take the leadership role by moving forward with this ordinance and promoting safe, reusable, and sustainable alternatives. Reducing our use of polystyrene reduces the many health and environmental risks associated with this dangerous product. Thank you for being e-committed. And I believe that's it, but let me just make sure one more time, Mayor. I don't want to miss any. Yes, that seems to be the last for that one.
Okay, I think we have a couple comments from panelists. Mauricio?
Yes, 1 second, Mayor. Okay, this comment comes from Chris Altizer. I hate to think we'll be strangling on polystyrene as the seawater rises above the beach line. Let's ban it. And then we have a speaker.
Okay, so just so Chris understands, what the city attorney just described was, we're doing the most we can do without getting, because Coral Gables tried to ban it and they got slapped down by the appellate court. So what we're doing is we're doing the most that we can do within the framework of the legal constructs that we're faced with today. If it changes in the future, we'll come back and we will revisit it. But today, this is as far as we can go. So Chris understands that. So thank you. Okay, next one, Mauricio.
And the next is Catherine Uden. Give me 1 second and I will allow her to talk.
No. Go get it calculated for me.
Okay, Catherine, go ahead.
Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. My name is Catherine Uden. I'm the South Florida campaign organizer for Oceana, an international organization protecting the world's oceans through policy change. I live here in South Florida, and I'm so concerned about the ocean and the plastic pollution problem. An estimated 17.6 billion pounds of plastic leaks into our oceans from land-based sources every year, equivalent to dumping a garbage truck full of plastic into the oceans every minute. Plastic has been found in every part of the food chain, including the seafood we eat. The top 10 items most commonly found during beach cleanups are all single-use plastics. Endangered and threatened marine mammals and sea turtles are swallowing and becoming entangled in plastic. Only 9% of the plastic waste ever produced has been recycled, and only about 2% of plastic packaging is effectively recycled into something of equal or higher value. Plastic is a major source of greenhouse gas emissions, producing nearly twice as much as the aviation sector. If plastic was a country, it would be the planet's 5th largest emitter of greenhouse gases. As of 2015, companies were producing 400 million tons of plastic annually, and that's expected to quadruple by 2050 due to an abundance of cheap natural gas from fracking. The US is responsible for some of the highest plastic inputs to the ocean in the world, ranking 3rd, and the US also generates more plastic waste than any other country in the world. We are actually number 1. Polystyrene foam is not only bad for our oceans, but it's also bad for human health. Plastic is an environmental justice issue as petrochemical companies pollute marginalized communities, such as the corridor along the Mississippi River, known as Cancer Alley. Many cities, states, and entire nations have passed legislation to eliminate single-use plastics. 27 municipalities in Florida have passed plastic straw laws, and at least 19 municipalities in Florida have passed other types of plastic foam ordinances. Cities and counties are passing bans and also passing ordinances restricting plastic and foam in city events, meetings, parks, beaches, and pavilion rentals. Ordinances can be enacted with a period of time before enforcement, and these local actions send a message to Tallahassee that the residents of Florida care about this issue. Plastic pollution clogs storm drains and creates unsightly litter, and by reducing single-use plastic, Sunny Isles Beach is protecting the environment, Florida's coastal economy, and the livelihood of residents. While we work on state and federal action, we encourage the city of Sunny Isles Beach to pass legislation to reduce single-use plastics and polystyrene foam. I thank Commissioner Goldman for bringing this forward and for Sunny Isles Beach for being a responsible coastal city and caring about the environment. And for so many residents that sent in their comments, thank you for caring about our oceans. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Mauricio, anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, we just got one more comment. This comes from Steve. Is this for the beach and city parks and properties, or only city properties and parks? Public comment about beach, but only city-owned properties were mentioned. I think the record needs to be clarified.
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for any city facility or city property, including the beach.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Steve, I hope that clarifies. I wasn't sure either, to be honest with you, but because we have certain jurisdictions over the beach, and we have other jurisdictions that we don't have over the beach, so it's tricky sometimes, and it's very issue dependent. So, but in this case, it looks like we have the ability to hold the line on the beach as well. So, thank you. Okay, Mauricio, is there any other public comments?
1 second, Mayor. Let me just make sure. We have Jody. 1 second, Mayor. Jody, go ahead.
Jody, you're on mute. There you go. Still can't hear you. Jody, check your phone. See if your phone's on mute, because you're not on mute through Zoom, but maybe your phone is muted.
Okay, we can come back to her, Mayor, while she.
Okay, sorry, Jody. Sorry.
Is it not working now?
Okay.
Nope, we hear you now. Yep, we hear you. Go ahead.
Now? Great. Just
Yeah, just barely. Yeah, it's real weak, so you might want to speak up a little bit. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah. Hi. Just as I may be wrong, but it was mentioned that this is the worst thing that happened to this young 11-year-old boy. And for the family of Shalom Ben Shamal, I want to pay respect to them and apologize, because if anybody remembers, he was a 17-year-old.
Jody.
Yes.
Jody, we're not there yet. We're on item 7A. So if you could hold your comments to 12B.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but we're gonna address it in 12B. I just don't want to lose control of the meeting this time, okay? Because I want to stay on track.
But that's so.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I understand. I understand. I don't think it was meant to be disrespectful.
But
I don't
I'm
think it was
just
meant to be
trying say that-
disrespectful.
But it's not an argument.
I
I'm just
know,
saying he
but-
wasn't mentioned. May I finish, Bud, for one moment? I'm just saying that
You
they
can't.
lost
No,
a child
if
as a
you want to
part of-
speak to polystyrene, you can finish. Otherwise, please bring it up with 12B, okay? Please, Jody.
Okay, I was being respectful to the family, Bud, that's all.
I am too. I'm being respectful as well, but I still have, I need to stay on point with the meeting. And I'm sure the comment didn't meant to be disrespectful. Okay. We're all, we all see it in our own light. So thank you,
It's all
Jody.
good. Thank you, Bud.
So thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right.
One
that's
more,
item
Mayor.
7A.
Yeah,
We have another
one more
okay.
person. Yude, go ahead.
You're on mute. There you
Yeah,
go.
okay, now I'm okay. Oh, thank God. I can
Yeah,
talk.
now we hear you. Yep.
Okay, we're talking about the ocean. We're talking about Sunny Isle. What about the bay? We live on the bay, and the dirt we have here, when it's windy, it's disgusting. With all the styrofoam, with all the glasses, with the plastic from Publix, and we have to just to take the net and to take it out. But it's terrible, and it's disgusting. So it's not just the ocean; it's also the bay. It's terrible.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody disagrees with you. I think it's our waterways. It's not just the ocean. You're absolutely right. And I also live on the bay. I also live on the bay and have a little water courtyard in my house. And when the wind blows in the right direction, it gets all full of crud, just like you're saying. So I completely understand.
Because likely we
So-
have here a lot of boat. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like the parking here, and you see what they're throwing to the water. It's like disaster.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank
if
you.
the police, you know
that's a
what I
good
mean,
point.
they can, to give them
Yeah.
ticket or something just to fed them one time and then to stop it, it'd be great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really good point. All
Okay.
right. Thank you. Okay. Mauricio, anyone else?
That's it, Mayor.
Okay, I will open it up for the commission. Commissioner Lama?
Yeah, I just have a question, Ed. You mentioned that includes the beach, and we spoke about this before, but I just wanted, for the sake of the viewers and the residents, it does include not only the beach access at Sampson Park, which is our park, but it also includes pretty much the entirety of our sand, correct? Of our beach itself.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Just wanted that to be clear. No, I'm in agreement with this. Obviously, we've been talking about this for a while. It's out there. I think everybody as a whole, we need to be more conscious and do something about this issue. So I think we're going in the right direction.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Goldman?
I obviously agree with my colleagues' comments. I think that we can't solve all the ills of the world at the municipal level, but we can certainly do our part and join with others within our means. And in this case, given the preemption environment, we can still do our part and make a statement and really join in this effort to reduce the consumption and supply of polystyrene, which has such deleterious effects all over. So I'm very happy to support this and move our e-committed forward. So very much in support.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Viscara?
Can you hear me? Yes, okay. I like the spirit of this. Obviously, we're a city that's moving. I agree, it's moving in the right direction, and that we should be making more environmentally conscious decisions. But for me, the devil's always in the details, right? So when I was looking at the definition, I mean, we're saying that the prohibition of the carrying or use of polystyrene products by individuals, and et cetera. And then when you look at the definition of what these products are, it includes, and it's not all bad, right? It's let's see, beverage service. articles of food, beverages, packaging, lids, clamshells, bowls, plates, utensils. So I'm guessing those are plastic forks and knives, trays, bowls, wrappers. So I don't know what kinds of wrappers those are. Like, are we now, when you put it in play, if I'm now in a park and I give my kid a granola bar that's wrapped, am I in violation of something, right? What kind of wrapper are we talking about? Condiment containers. And we're talking about city property, right? So if I go grocery shopping and I walk home and I'm on a city sidewalk, which is city property, and I have my basil in there, am I now in violation of that? Drinkware, is that plastic bottles? Is it? What's drinkware? Do we know? I mean, it's in the definition, but.
Well, I would think he means a drinkware would be like a polystyrene cup.
A cup, but cups is next to it. It says cups.
And again, Jennifer, yeah, let's be clear. We will enforce this, with the same practicality that we enforce everything. Okay. Clearly, if somebody's walking down the street with a bag of groceries, we're not going to arrest them for having polystyrene products. Okay. I mean, if we do, I think that we're not really adhering to the intent. The idea is for these products not to end up, in the water. I mean, obviously we can't ban, supermarkets from selling polystyrene products, but so but it's always good to have a lawyer on the commission. I appreciate your diligence.
My take on it is not that this is bad, right? But if we're going to be passing ordinances as opposed to resolutions or internal policies, then they should be enforceable and they should be clear, and we shouldn't be creating situations where people are in violation of things that they don't intend to be and that we don't intend them to be. So I just prefer to be, if we're going to vote and go forward with something, that we all understand at least some of the unintended consequences, and that we consider whether we want to do that, like whatever, packing peanuts or government center, right? If we order toner, and again, this is the practical stuff, but we're looking at the letter of it. You order and they come with styrofoam. Are we no longer allowed to buy those anymore? Do we have to now find a brand that doesn't come with that? Let's see, if I bring my leftovers from a restaurant and I'm eating it in the break room, am I in violation of something? I think it's a nice thing, but we should be aware of, we may be creating, if we're not going to enforce it, then we should approve something that we are going to enforce. I like the two things to match. I don't think we should be willy-nilly on what we enforce, just to put something forward. So for those reasons, I think this is a little broad. I like the Dade County approach, where we're just looking at parks, right? Because I can be on my city sidewalk with my coffee and throw it away before I enter the park, or we can protect the beaches that way. But we're not creating, violators for employees who happen to be bringing home their leftovers, or for somebody who's walking home with their groceries. Or I think I would like the letter of what we pass to match the intention of what we're going to do. And for that, I would say, let's start with the parks and the beaches and not be so broad, because I think a lot of that we can manage as a matter of internal policy, because what's left? Government Center, Pelican Park, what other, and our sidewalks, right? I would say leave that to internal policy and limit this to the parks the way the county has done it.
Thank you. Okay, Vice Mayor.
Okay. First of all, I want to applaud all of the residents and many non-residents that reached out to us. I know they reached out to all of us. I want to applaud Commissioner Goldman for sticking with this. We clearly are not the only municipality considering this. I spent a significant amount of time doing research, going through a lot of the things that Commissioner Vizcarra has also mentioned. I was very happy to speak to Commissioner Sabrina Hediana in Hollandale. She sent me some information. Hollywood Plantation, Miami Beach has a very robust ordinance. they actually have a environmental and sustainability director who manages all of this, who's going to be sending me more information as to Commissioner Viscara's point, how do you enforce something like this? Because while I love a lot of this, specifically the food containers, the part that concerned me was life safety items like floaties, boogie boards are not life safety, but that's what kids bring to the beach. I always kind of take it back to the kids. So I'm wondering if there are small changes we could make to this and make it look more like the county ordinance, which already prohibits on the beach and in county parks polystyrene items. Sally Hayman's office sent me the most recent ordinance that they have, and potentially remove some things that are going to be challenging, like the peanuts for the packing, and I believe we even have like the egg cartons here. And in the past, we were delivering food to some of the elderly with, the egg cartons. So some of the things that Commissioner Viscara said, if we can make a revision to that, but obviously keep the bulk of the food items, because that is what is causing the most pollution. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was taking it a step further. This is something that Miami Beach did. They met with the sustainability department of places like Walgreens and CVS and Publix, and they urged them to make some changes. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But for me, the concern is if Walgreens is selling a styrofoam cooler across the street from the beach, and I'm a tourist and I come and buy the cooler, and then you nab me on the beach for having it, well, I'm thinking, you kind of set me up. So I think that there's a way that we can work with those businesses, and they are taking this seriously. That's why they have the sustainability departments, and really push them, ourselves and our residents, to make internal changes so they can stop selling some of those products. That makes it a lot easier than having to enforce people carrying the products that they recently bought. So I wanted to ask the city attorney, how can we, and if we can make any of those tweaks to this to make it really strong with the food items, and potentially remove some of the things that would prohibit, children from using toys and whatnot on the beach.
We can certainly do that, Commissioner, as long as we're confining these to city-owned or city-run
right
properties. We can limit or expand the types of products that we're talking about. It's up to the will of the commission.
Right, because back to Commissioner Viscara's point, are we going to be ourselves in violation if we do some of these things? So I just, I obviously want to hear what the mayor has to say and what everyone else has to say about potentially making some changes to this. But I wholeheartedly support this.
Okay, I get to go last. So, Kat brings up a good point on the chat, and I was going to make that suggestion anyway in addressing Commissioner Viscara's issue, is basically we can specify single-use cups and foodware, which really is what we're talking about. This is the bulk of the issue. I don't think our toner, styrofoam ends end up on the beach. I don't think our packing peanuts end up on the beach, or in the water. I think the things that happen at City Hall are they end up in the garbage, and then they eventually, and hopefully they get recycled so our real issue is that I think it's food items, foodware, cups, things of that nature. So maybe what we can do is ask the city attorney to tighten up the language a little bit. So I think given that it's an ordinance, I'd like to get something passed today. I don't know if we can do it though, if we're gonna tweak this thing. So maybe I think what we're hearing, Commissioner Goldman, go ahead.
Yeah, so this particular ordinance, maybe, it would help. Ed, if you would, this ordinance was basically patterned after the Fort Lauderdale ordinance. It's not, the intent of this was not boogie boards or bugles or that. This was really about the single use, the styrofoam cups, the styrofoam container. So again, I think Kat Uden makes the point. unencapsulated foam. It's really not peanut wrappers. I think it sounds to me like we have some broad consensus about this. It's just, if there are some minor tweaks, I think we could probably, as you suggest, Mayor, we take a vote, we see there's consensus, and then maybe, if there needs to be some clarification. But I don't see this as I don't see any of these comments as an impediment to, taking a vote and helping getting this ordinance.
Yeah.
I have a question for Chris. Chris, regarding the enforcement, I think the key point here is enforcement. Obviously, we could clean up the language and, have more detail on the items and all of that. But can lifeguards tell the people that, let's say, for instance, you have a whole bunch of people with styrofoam cups, right? Can you have our lifeguard, task force tell people not that those items are not allowed?
I'm sure the lifeguards could do that as they see it. I mean, the beach is a pretty vast place.
Yeah.
But especially with limiting it to the obvious, as the mayor was saying.
Yeah.
Goldman.
Yeah, we got to narrow it down a little bit. Yeah. I was just wondering, because I know lifeguards have the power. If you have an open container or a beer bottle, they could tell people that that's not allowed.
Right.
So, okay. All right.
Would this include plastic bottles? Because those are single use, but they're not styrofoam.
Yes. They're not styrofoam. No, it's not. It's different. Yeah.
So
that's a different issue. That's a different issue. So
we have to also consider the hotels that are on the beach. Remember, we're still in a pandemic. These businesses are recovering. So we don't want to, hurt them either. So, and if they're serving food or whatever, so they don't use the styrofoam cup, but they could still sell a plastic bottle, or
right. This is polystyrene.
A plastic cup, but not a styrofoam cup.
This is polystyrene.
Polystyrene.
Yeah. You bring up a good point. I mean, you have plastic, but I mean, I think eventually it'd be good to have those trash containers where you could have the separation of plastics and other items, for recycling.
Well,
for recycling, yeah.
If they're banned on the beach, they shouldn't be there. So
Yeah.
just to be clear.
No, but I'm not talking about
So-
polystyrene. I'm talking about like
Okay.
plastic bottles
Right.
and all that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is, well, just to be clear, I know there's some more people that were trying to jump on a public comment. We had our public comment before the commission started to speak, so the public comment section is closed, so I'm sorry. So just to be clear, what I'd like to do is I'd like to pass this, and then if we clean it up, we clean it up a little bit, but I'd like to pass it because I think it's important to get it passed. I think the city attorney has got clarity on kind of where we're all falling on this one. I completely agree with Commissioner Viscara. I have often, chastised the staff when I feel like we're putting ordinances out there, we're creating laws that we can't enforce. I used to fight with the old mayor about that a lot too. When I was a commissioner, when the classic to me was I think the skateboard and the sidewalk law, as if we're going to start arresting, I'm not saying that the skateboards and the sidewalks aren't problematic, but very hard to enforce. It's very hard to arrest 12-year-olds, just to be clear. So on this one though, what I'd like to do is, yeah, exactly. What I'd like to do is vote on it. And then also give staff, I think that we're showing good faith in voting on it, but also gives, direct the staff to go back and maybe tighten it up a little bit as far as this language, because clearly none of us have the intent to stop our Hewlett-Packard toner shipment from going in the front door of City Hall. Okay, that's not the intent of this. So, Commissioner Goldman.
I'd like to make a move to adopt
Okay.
an ordinance, and with
Do I hear a
whatever
second?
additional-
Understood. A second by Vice Mayor. And it's a voice vote. Mauricio?
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Commissioner Stetson, Vice Mayor
Yes.
Stetson, excuse me.
Yes.
Mayor Scholl,
Yes.
the ordinance passes on first reading. Second reading will be scheduled for March 18th.
So because this is an ordinance, the city attorney's got the ability to take the next 30 days and come back to us. And on the second reading, we'll clean it up a little bit. So I think that we can, but I think everybody's comments were well-founded. I don't disagree with anything. I'm also very aware of the impact to our businesses. So that's something that always needs to be taken into consideration. I got chewed out by every business in town when we passed the straw law, you know, with the plastic straws versus the paper straws. They were very upset. They didn't have a chance to come in and comment on it. You know, well, they did, but obviously they weren't, they weren't watching the commission meetings. And so, so I think that, you know, I think we owe it to all our constituents when we're doing something like this to hear everybody out. And I think that was Commissioner Goldman's point earlier, is, you know, we need to listen to people. Okay, so we've got it carried. I think the city attorney's got clarity, and I would just tell each commissioner, why don't you have a conversation with the city attorney, express your concerns, and let's see if we can give him some guidance on narrowing this to something that's workable. So thank you. And thank you, you know, I got a lot of public outpouring on this one as well. So I want to thank the public for, you know, being passionate about this issue. Okay, item 7B, we are going to now move into our public land planning. So we're going to suspend the commission meeting for a few minutes, and we're going to be sitting as our local planning agency to consider the item 7B and item 7B1. Mauricio.
Item 7B of the local planning agency is a resolution recommending to the City Commission of Sunny Isles Beach the ordinance amending the city's adopted comprehensive plan to provide for the state mandated requirements for a 10-year water supply facilities work plan by amending the infrastructure element, the conservation element, the intergovernmental coordination element, and by updating the water supply facilities work plan sub-element and the required transmittal to the State Department of Economic Opportunity.
Okay, who's going to give us a rundown on this one?
Should be Claudia.
Claudia will be.
Claudia? Hopefully she got some new headphones. You got those fancy headphones, Claudia?
I do.
There she is.
Good evening, everybody. This resolution is recommending to the City Commission, to yourself, that we adopt the first reading of the water supply plan that we are required to do every 5 years. It will, as Mauricio mentioned, it will go to the state for the review and external agencies as well.
Okay, Mauricio, are there any public comments regarding the 10-year water supply plan?
No, Mayor.
There are none. Okay, do I have any comments from the commission regarding the 10-year water supply plan? This is fairly perfunctory.
Yes, very perfunctory, great plan, lots of interesting water conservation concepts, and hopefully they will carry through.
Okay. Can I have a motion for adoption, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Goldman, I have a motion. Do I hear a second from Commissioner Lama? This is a voice vote. It's a resolution. It's an ordinance.
This is actually the LPA resolution, Mayor. So.
LPA, I know. I screw it up every time.
No worries. Okay, so now if we can adjourn the LPA meeting.
Okay.
You gotta have the vote first.
Yeah, well, actually, the LPA, we don't vote, Ed. I think we adjourn, and the LPA is recommending to the commission to adopt it. Is that correct, Mauricio?
Yes, there was a voice vote, Ed. Did we not do the voice vote already?
No, I didn't do the vote. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Sorry about that.
I screw this up every time, Ed. Okay. Now we can adjourn the LPA. Right, exactly. This is what keeps you employed, Ed. Now we adjourn the LPA, and we move on to item 7B1, which would be adopting that recommendation. So go ahead, Mauricio.
Okay. So, Mayor, I'm sorry, just for one more time for the record, we are now reconvened as the City Commission.
We are.
Okay. So 7B1 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending the City of Sunny Isles Beach Comprehensive Plan to provide for the State of Florida mandated requirements for a 10-year water supply facilities work plan by amending the infrastructure element, the conservation element, the intergovernmental coordination element, and the capital improvement element, providing that a transmittal and adoption public hearing will be held, providing for adoption, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. And this is first reading.
Okay. Are there any public comments to item 7B, Mauricio? 7B1?
No, Mayor.
There are none. Does the commission have anything else anybody would like to add?
No.
Hearing none, I'll take a vote for adoption.
So moved.
Okay, the Vice Mayor, and the second by Commissioner Goldman. And this one is a voice vote. Mauricio.
Okay. Vice Mayor Svechin,
Yes.
Commissioner Vizcarra,
Yes.
Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Mayor Scholl.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted on first reading. Second reading will be scheduled after we receive it from the state.
Excellent. Okay, we survived another LPA. Thank goodness.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to resolutions, and we will move on to resolution 10A. Mauricio.
10A is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the agreement with Team Contracting for design, construction, and restoration services for the Pelican Community Center. And this is from Rick, who will be reporting. In 1 second, Mayor. Whenever you're ready, Rick.
No, how about now?
You're good to go.
Okay, this resolution with Team Construction is to adjust the contract we have to include additional work done for the stucco repair on the building, which is a PCP center there. The contract we had was based on an estimated amount of stucco repair, because the only real way to tell is to go and sound the building, basically tapping it with a hammer to find out how much loose stucco you have. So what you're seeing here is additional service for exceeding the amount we estimated when we started the project. It was quite a lot of bad stucco we had to take off and redo.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Mauricio, any comments from the public on this item?
No, Mayor, none.
There are none? Okay. Commission, any comments from the commission? Okay. With that, I'll take a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Goldman, seconded by Commissioner Lama. All in favor? Aye. Aye. And Vice Mayor, are you in favor? She made it. Okay. So this is what happens when I don't give bathroom breaks. So try to keep the meeting moving along. Okay. Item 10A carries, and we go to item 10B.
10B is a resolution approving the 7th Amendment to the agreement with Perkins & Will Architects for architectural design services for the pedestrian overpass bridge at 180th and Collins Avenue.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. This additional service is to continue with the design of the pedestrian bridge out here in front of the government center. And we're going through the process of meeting all the FDOT requirements for the specific design issues associated with it, mostly because of the complexity of the structure that we're preparing. And also the fact that it's over a 6-lane highway and we have to look at a lot of constructability issues as well as maintenance issues, since we will have to do maintenance every 2 years on this. So that's what these services involve to try to get us to the end of the design period. We are scheduled next week to have 100% design plans complete and submitted to the district, which then hopefully we can get approvals on and get funding in April, a funding commitment in April. So if there's any questions, we can go over specifics.
Thank you, Rick. Any comments from the public on this item, Mauricio?
No, Mayor.
Any comments from the commission? Okay, Vice Mayor.
Thanks, Rick. Do we have the date when we're going to actually be able to start the construction for the bridge?
We're looking right now, the schedule would be like a July start.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay.
If we get funding in April, we get a go ahead in March or May, and then we got to advertise it, select the contractor, and award it, which I'm thinking would be May, June, July. And then we'd be at the start of shop drawing reviews, permit submittal packages, that kind of stuff. So Actual construction probably wouldn't start till August, September.
Okay.
And then we probably need to discuss
Thank you.
with the hurricane season too, depending on what might happen.
Thank you, Rick. Any other comments from the commission? Okay. The one thing I'll say is this is the safest way to cross a major artery. And we've been working on these for years now. So, especially given the recent tragedy, this is the safest way to cross a major artery. So, we had 3 in the hopper, which was Government Center, 174th Street, and Collins and 163rd Street. We had opposition from some of the folks up in the south end of the city on Collins and 163rd, during all the drama with Town Center. They were, a couple of residents were vehemently opposed to the pedestrian bridge. And given all the issues we went through with Town Center, we pulled that one. I'm sorry we did, quite frankly, because I still feel that that is the safest way to get across the street. And if we make them accessible, this is how people can cross the street and not worry about crosswalks. So these have been, these take a lot of planning and a lot of approvals from the various agencies, but when they're built, it's meaningful. And, the one that's going over 163rd Street now, westbound, speaks for itself. So thank you. Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve this funding? Okay. So motion by Vice Mayor. Do I hear a second? Second by Commissioner Lama. All in favor? Aye. Yeah, we can all raise our hands, and I can see everybody who votes. Okay. Motion carries. And Mauricio, item 10C.
10C is a resolution approving a second amendment to the agreement with Hardesty and Hanover LLP for peer review services for the pedestrian overpass bridge over Collins Avenue and 180th Street.
Rick, this is your night.
Yes, this is Hardesty and Hanover is our peer review engineer that's doing an overview check of the design of the bridge, and their contract is expiring, so this is just an time extension to their contract, so we can keep them under use till we finish the full design and permit.
Understood. Thank you. Mauricio, any public comment on 10C?
We have one person that raised their hand. One second.
Go ahead.
Here. Isabella, can you please state your name and address for the record?
And come off mute, Isabella. You're on mute. Bottom left. There you go.
I apologize. I just want to talk about the 12B. I'm sorry. It was another subject.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Isabella. We will be there soon. Thank you. Any other public comment, Mauricio?
Nothing else, Mayor.
Okay. Any comments from the commission? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve 12C? I'm sorry, 10C?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Goldman. Do I hear a second?
Second. Sorry, I'm
Second
having
by
trouble.
Commissioner Viscara. That's all right. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10D.
10D is a resolution approving the selection of Cigna Healthcare as a provider of employee health insurance, Cigna Dental as a provider of dental insurance, IMED as a provider of vision care, Mutual of Omaha as a provider of life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, long-term disability insurance, voluntary short-term disability insurance, and voluntary life insurance for a period of 1 year. And this is from our HR director.
Okay. Yael.
Good evening. I wanted to make sure you can see me. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. This is the annual renewal of the city's health insurance as well as the life and disability insurances. And we work closely with Brown & Brown to go out to market to get the best rates possible. And the recommendation this year is going to be to switch to Cigna for medical and dental. Our current carrier, United Healthcare, proposed a rate increase of approximately 7% over current rates. However, Cigna proposed a rate decrease to current rates, 7% rate decrease with no plan changes. With dental, Cigna provided a proposal with a 14% decrease to the PPO current rates with no plan changes. So we felt it was it was a good time to make the change to provide a little bit of rate relief for our employees and for the city. We will save a savings about $343,000 for the year based on current enrollment. We also received a rate pass for our vision insurance and life and disability insurances. So we will just continue with IMED and Mutual of Omaha. And these are the proposals we're bringing forward tonight for your approval under this resolution.
Thank you, Yale. Mauricio, any public comment on 10D?
We have one person that raised their hand. 1 second, Mayor. Your name and address for the record, please.
You need to come off mute. Autumn, there you go.
Are you okay? Okay,
Yes, we hear you.
I'm against the disability and I'm against the dental insurance. I think it's too much money. I don't have it for, you know what I mean, for my family, and I don't think should I support somebody else.
Okay, thank you. Thanks
You're
for your
welcome.
comment. Any other comments from the public, Mauricio?
No, Mayor.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Any comments from the commission? Okay, the only thing I would ask is the doctor network with Cigna similar to the doctor network that you had with the prior provider?
Yes, we had Cigna run a report based on claims provided by United Healthcare, and we were confirmed that it was 100% match. As a matter of fact,
that's important.
As a matter of fact, the contract we have with United Healthcare, we had Cigna prior. So when we developed the contract with United Healthcare, they mimicked and they confirmed. So we're just pretty much reverting back to what we had 5 years ago.
There's nothing frustrates your employees more than when you change healthcare providers and they can't go back to their doctor. And this happens all the time. It's unfortunate, but it happens a lot. And, unfortunately, we have to change healthcare providers a lot more often than anybody would like these days, simply because of what we're experiencing here. So, okay. With no comments, I will take a motion.
Moved.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Goldman, second by Commissioner Vizcarra. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Yale.
Thank you.
Okay, item 10E, Mauricio.
10E is a resolution approving a third amendment to the agreement with MSL PA, formerly known as Moore Stevens Lovelace PA, for professional auditing services. And this is our Assistant Finance Director. 1 second, Mayor. Joe, whenever you're ready, just take yourself off mute.
Thank you for reminding me, because I would have forgotten. Okay.
All right, Joe, all yours.
All right. So this amendment would basically be just to amend the original term of the agreement. The original term was a 3-year term with 2 renewals. This would just amend the term of the renewals so that we could add another year and have MSL be our auditors for the fiscal year 2021 fiscal year. And that's
okay.
At an amount not to exceed $44,450.
Understood. Okay, thank you, Joe. Any comments from the public on this item, Mauricio?
None, Mayor.
Okay. Any comments from the commission? Okay, just so everybody understands that the city manager and I discussed this. Usually you go out at a maximum of 5 years with an auditor just for independence. You then go out and solicit a new auditor. Because of COVID, because of the issues with, getting auditors in, working in person, working remotely, we decided that the better part of valor was to extend this for 1 more year. So that's so anybody that's familiar with kind of these types of issues and what's best practice, just so they understand, this was thoughtful. This isn't, we didn't do this. It's a little out of the ordinary, but not terribly out of the ordinary given the current environment. So, okay. With that, I'll take a motion. Okay, motion by the Vice Mayor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Goldman. All in favor? Aye, raise your hand. Great, and motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Mauricio, item 10F.
10F is a resolution strongly opposing Senate Bill 522 and House Bill 219, which seek to preempt the regulation of short-term rentals to the state.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, we are here one more time. The state legislation wants to preempt us from regulating short-term rentals. As of today, since we adopted ordinance for short-term rentals, we have approximately 300 code cases regarding short-term rentals. We have been dealing with that, and we have 61 more cases to be investigated. So if the state preempts us, actually, we won't be able to attend to those complaints, proactive cases regarding short-term rentals in this moment.
Okay. Boy, gotta beat them back with a stick, it seems like. It's unbelievable. So, Mauricio, any comments from the public on 10F?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Commission. I think we're doing our best here, but okay, Commissioner Goldman, go ahead.
So obviously the state preemption of an issue that is so germane and so profoundly important to our city and our community and our quality of life. It's very disheartening and very disconcerting. And I feel very strongly that the state preemption of the short-term rentals would be just absolutely just devastating to the municipalities that deal with the impacts of the adverse impacts of short-term rentals. So I strongly support this initiative.
Yeah. Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to say that these sort of resolutions do make a difference. Today, I heard that this actually got moved out of the committee that it was supposed to be heard in, which means that potentially this is not even going to go to a vote. So the louder people are about these sort of things and really supporting us being able to control our own ordinances is really, really important. So anyone that's reached out to your legislators, please keep doing it. It does make a difference.
Yeah. Any other comments? Commissioner Viscar, Commissioner Lama?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we got to keep strong because this is like a war of attrition. Every year it comes up, and I'm just afraid if we let our guard down one year, it's going to go through, and then, we're not going to be able to control anything, basically. We're going to have quadruple the problems that we have now. So, I urge the residents to get in touch with the state legislator and tell them how they oppose these type of, preemptions that go against home rule.
Commissioner Viscar.
100%. We have to fight for home rule. I think part of the problem is a lot of the people who are voting on these matters don't live in communities like ours. They don't understand what's the big deal. We're mostly condos. We have issues across our entire city, and a lot of the people, that's why it's important to raise your voice, because they really just don't understand what it is to live in a vertical place like we do, and to deal with associations, being part of our daily life, all of that. They just don't understand it. So it's absolutely important to make your voice heard, so we can keep our control over the issues that matter to us.
Right. Thank you. One thing that COVID did for everybody was, I believed, it brought clarity to many members of the public what we control and what we don't control. The public hadn't really thought about that a lot, but when curfews started getting enacted and other requirements started getting enacted, it became very clear to folks that there's certain things that we can control and certain things we can't control at the municipal level. And even with these issues regarding our roadways and things of that nature, we don't have complete control. So, there's 4 branches of government: federal, state, county, and municipal. So it's really, it's really frustrating when the state knows things that they know better. For instance, even the Sunshine Law, it affects us. It doesn't affect the state legislators. So in other words, they can talk about anything, anytime they want before they vote on it. And we are bound by the Sunshine Law. I'm not saying the Sunshine Law is a bad thing, but I think it should be across the board. So they tend to think that their issues are more meaningful than our issues, and they shouldn't be bound by Sunshine. So it's really interesting how a lot of that shakes out. A lot of it's political too, but clearly. And the problem is, when big money lobbyists get to the state, it's controlled by money. You've got a huge, a platform like an Airbnb and others that get to the state and try to use their lobbying influence. And the state, again, it's just our voice isn't always heard. But I think I agree with Vice Mayor Svechin in that these things matter. So this is why we tend to push some of these things forward. So, okay, with that, I'll take a motion. Okay, moved by Commissioner Lama, second by Commissioner Goldman. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10G.
10G is a resolution adopting the Town Center North Public Engagement Report prepared by Calvin Giordano and Associates, Inc.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, in the meantime, Mauricio, can you bring Sylvia and the presentation up, please? We are at the end of this task. We were tasked to actually go to the community and ask for their feedback regarding the Town Center North area. We are presenting to you the final report, and we are hoping for your guidance on what are the next steps that you foreseen for these areas, so we can move forward to prepare eventually all the studies and analysis depending on your guidance. Thank you.
Okay. Is Sylvia going to speak, Claudia, or is
Sylvia?
Oh, there she is.
Yes, there we go.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today to give you our final findings and recommendation with regards to this process. As you know, if you go to the next slide, please. We're dealing with the Town Center North area, not the entire Town Center overlay as it existed well over a year ago now, only the north portion of it. And the reason why we're dealing with this separately, as you know, go next, please, is that back in 2019, a discrepancy was discovered between the city's comprehensive plan and a zoning code with respect to the area that is covered by the overlay. And some actions had to be taken to resolve the problem. So the first thing that the city did was to review the areas that were affected to determine which ones were most urgent. It was discovered that only the Town Center area was affected in the entire city by the discrepancy, and specifically, most immediately, the southern portion of the overlay was impacted. So as a first step, you as the commission pursued a solution for that area by enacting 1 year moratorium at the time, and zoning in process, replacing the original TCO with 2 separate overlays, one then called the Town Center South overlay and the Town Center North overlay, which is the one that we're dealing with. Because of the urgency of addressing the Center South, there was an amendment to the comprehensive plan that added the statutorily required density and intensity measures to that Town Center South overlay. So that went on, and once that process was taken to close to completion, the commission, the city, decided that we could turn the attention to the Town Center North. Now, because there were no pre-existing development issues in that area, it was taken as an opportunity to take a little bit of a breather, go out to the community and revisit the entire vision for that area. To that effect, the moratorium was extended twice to now March of this year. Next, please. The process started in January of last year, 2020, very simple 4-task process, which, as you know, involved us talking to a number of people, looking at collecting existing conditions so that we could understand the situation of the town center north, using the public input, which happened throughout of the process, as a way to frame several options for the city to consider moving forward. And finally, which is where we are right now, documenting the entire process with all 460 something pages that include a record of all the public input, as you are aware, and our findings from that input and recommendations. Next, please. Now, the focus of this process, of course, has been the public outreach. And we set several goals for ourselves. Needed to be a productive process, meaning that we would have and encourage respectful dialogue, not just with one portion of the community, not just with the stakeholders in the town center area, property owners, but across the community, trying to balance all of the different opinions, understanding that there's not a single public in the city, but multiple publics. To that effect, we provided multiple opportunities for people to participate. Of course, we've had the challenge of the pandemic occurring as we were in the middle of our process, but I believe and I'm very confident that we were able to pivot well and pretty seamlessly, and frankly, faster than many communities that I know that were in the middle of similar processes. So we were able to provide a number of additional opportunities with online tools for people to participate throughout the entire process, all the way up to October, which was our last activity. Next. Can you click again? Can you click?
Is that the same slide, Sylvia? Because I'm clicking and it's not.
Okay, I forgot. Sorry, it's animated. I just wanted to show you the number of activities that we actually had despite the pandemic. Everything from outreach tools that included the project webpage, and numerous email blasts, the use of social media. We had palm cards before the pandemic that we used at some of our in-person events, flyers, phone calls. And then as part of the project webpage, we had a comment form where people to this day can still send comments to. We had stakeholder sessions at the beginning to help us understand some of the issues. One in-person workshop at City Hall, 2 pop-up outreach events that I think were extremely successful because we were able to talk to people who live in the area, who work in the area, who frequent the area. This was back in March, about a week before the pandemic started. We had 2 virtual workshops. We had 2 online surveys and the public meeting that we're in right now. And I just wanted to show you some of the numbers between January and the beginning of April, which was basically what I would say our public engagement as we had originally planned it. We had over 450 participants at that point. And then through the rest of the activities, another 200 and something. In addition, I want to commend your media team and Claudia and her staff as well for the fantastic campaign and the work that they did with their email blast, their social media engagement, the webpage. As you can see, we had a tremendous amount of participation, and we know that these are participation points. So obviously it counts when people go back and look at the website for example. But we do believe that, and I saw that at the meetings, we had different people coming to each meeting and learning about this process. Next, please. So using the public input that we received, we believe that we now have a good sense of what the community's vision for this area is. They think of it as different from other parts of the city, different certainly from the surrounding area. They like that. They like it to be different. They like it to continue to be different. They want it to have a human scale of the development, accessible in terms of mobility, with an updated and upscaled architecture, open space, to continue to have that sense of retreat, that sense of an oasis among all the other development in the city. And of course, continue to be and perhaps enhance the sense of it being a destination for the city by containing a multiplicity of uses. Next, please. There are a number of broader considerations. We could not necessarily address all of these in the limited scope, both in terms of the geographic area and the issues that we were trying to deal with, but can you go back for a second? Yes, these are issues that are citywide. We want to highlight them because these are issues that obviously you continuously hear about, and you know, the commission, the leadership needs to be thinking about. So growth management related issues such as the carrying capacity of infrastructure, citywide walkability and connectivity, issues with parking citywide, issues related to the existing school and the extension of local education. Next. But for our purposes, again, we had a very specific task at hand. And so we tried to focus on that, identifying from certainly a number of potential strategies, those that would be viable for the city to undertake. And so using a series of factors, evaluation factors, we narrowed the list down to 4. These are very general concepts. They are not regulations at this point. That is the next step. And this is part of why we're here tonight, to get help get the staff some direction. But I'll go through these really quick for you. Next, please. So I failed to go over the criteria there for a second, but you know that we looked at community response, we looked at risk, we looked at, we looked at the complexity of the processes that will be involved in each of the options and the expediency of the process. So with that said, the 4 options that, the 4 strategies that we put on the table are framed based on input that we received from the community. I want to emphasize that we listened, we heard what everybody who participated had to say, and out of that input, these 4 sort of areas of potential consensus emerge. So 1 involves letting the district be, keeping it as it was originally intended. Hang on a second, let me go here. And before I move forward, I do want to say that actually should say that all of these 4 strategies have some points in common, in the sense that there are things that either are going to have to happen or that are going to be involved in all of them. So at least 3 of these that would be requiring introducing metrics for density and intensity, because those metrics are not in the land use element for the description of the town center overlay. And all of them, to one extent or another, are going to require the city to amend the comprehensive plan, amend the future land use map, amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map. Okay, so let it be basically would leave the extent of the overlay as is today. We would have to address the density and intensity measures. So as I mentioned, this is a process that could be relatively complex because of the number of actions that would have to be taken. And because of that, we need to go through the state. Obviously, it could be a relatively slow process. Obviously, there are some legal risks involved in all of these to one extent or another. Some of them could come from one side of the stakeholder group and others from other sides. But we look at this and we understand that leaving it as is has a risk because those measures are not there today. Next. Oh, I'm sorry. No, leave it here. Leave it here. The next option, which is the green at the bottom of the left side, is called Toss It Away. And basically, this option would consist of eliminating the overlay entirely from this area and using the underlying land use districts, which are the pink, medium high density residential, and the red.
Sylvia, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt 1 second.
Yeah.
I just had a technical difficulty right now, and the PowerPoint came down. So let me just go back. You were on the slide with the 4 strategies, correct?
Number 10.
Okay. 1 second.
Thank you. Well, while Mauricio brings up the slide view, I think you can still see it. So it's on the bottom left of your screen. You can see that the overlay has been removed, which in the other one was the crosshatch. Go back. Not that much.
This one?
Yes, thank you. Number 10. In this case, again, the density and intensity measures of the underlying districts would prevail, and a future development and redevelopment will be guided by those. They would have to be reflected in the zoning code, because without the overlay, then the town center zoning district would have to be modified. Next. No, I'm sorry. I keep thinking that I have these separate, but I have them together. So at the bottom right of your screen, we have the third option, which is the teal option, a narrower focus. And this came from a number of the participants who said, well, we don't have a problem with this, but we would like to see this other area. And, some of the comments were about the residential portion of the current district, and some were about the commercial. The majority of the comments that we received were with respect to the commercial area, not so much about the residential, or as it is today, or as it could be in the future, for that matter. But for the commercial area, there were a lot of comments, a lot of input with regards to the way that development interfaces with Collins Avenue, the way that the development circulation in that area is not efficient, not safe, parking issues, and also architecture and design issues. So this option is based on this idea that we could pull back the boundary of the current overlay and address that area, the commercial area, through a different approach. Let me just make sure. There was actually quite a bit of favorable reaction to this idea, which again, many people actually made these comments proactively. But this approach also would be helpful in sort of articulating the different areas that are actually very distinct within this district. It's not just one big mass, but there is a bayfront area which has one character, one scale, and what we're calling sort of the Midtown district, which has a different character, and of course the commercial corridor, which is yet different from those two. And finally, the fourth option or strategy is at the bottom right of your screen, which is called a new vision. And in this strategy, basically, the town center overlay would be eliminated as it exists today, and the city could start from scratch. Part of the reason why we believe some of the input was to this effect, as well as to some of the other options, is that there is an understanding that the vision that is in the current comprehensive plan, in which the zoning code reflects, is not truly realistic. The development pattern that was envisioned in that old sort of vision is not really practical to accomplish the way that it was established. And so taking an entirely new approach could be a way to go. And this was one of the options that also had good input from some of our participants. And now we can go to the next slide, Mauricio, please. So as you know, once we framed these options, we took them back out to the public through the public input process, and there were several rounds of votes, both in virtual settings as well as passive online input. As you can see, I've put a check mark next to the option that received the highest number of votes from that input. It's the narrower focus. So we want to base our recommendation on that. Can you go to the next slide, please? So again, I mentioned this at the beginning, and I want to emphasize that obviously, this is just a recommendation, and I'm sure that the commission is going to be discussing all the options, but I do want to emphasize that the work that is involved in undertaking either of the options is going to involve amending the future land use map, amending the text of the future land use element, and for three of the options, deciding on what the appropriate density and intensity metrics are, and then going back and amending the zoning code to match and crafting the size standards, because I think that this is one of the things that came loud and clear through the public engagement process. People want a higher bar of design development in that area than what exists today. And finally, amending the zoning map again to match. Next. So I'm going to skip over this since I have already explained what is involved. If you want just to take a moment to see the map a little bit more up close, but you see we've pulled back the crosshatch to encompass only the residential area, and the commercial area would have its own underlying controlled designation. Next. So that concludes the presentation. The next step is to select which path to proceed on, providing guidance, if possible, to the staff regarding some of the regulatory considerations that they need to move forward in order to proceed with the comprehensive plan and zoning code amendments based on that direction. And go through the required procedure with the hearings, review by the state for the comprehensive plan amendments and the map amendment, and the local reviews for the zoning amendments. And that concludes again my presentation. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you. Mauricio, do we have any comments from the public on this item?
We do, Mayor. If you give me 1 second, I will bring them
Sure.
up. Okay, the first person is Igor Vasiliev. Igor, your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. My name is Igor Vasiliev, and my address is 16909 North Bay Road, Apartment 301. It's Plaza of the Americas. The question I have is on the actual report, and if the moderator can bring up the report and a particular page of that report. I read through it, and when I got to a page 50 of that report, I was surprised, to say the least, or should I say shocked, or if you would like me to share the screen, I can bring it up on my screen.
No, Igor, if you just tell me what slide you wanted to.
It's not one of the slides of the presentation. It's page 50 of the actual report.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have that. The only thing that we have is the PowerPoint presentation, but you can speak on it because the commission does have it in front of them.
Igor, why don't you just describe, describe your concern and your
Did he say page 50?
Yeah, page 50 of the report.
Page
yes.
50, right? He said.
Oh, that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Vizcarra. I really appreciate it. Okay, this is figure number 9. And please, Mr. Mayor or commissioners, would you explain what that means? Because apparently that's a conceptual street frontage map. I live in Plaza of the Americas. Where is Plaza of the Americas on this map? Where is my home?
May I answer that?
Absolutely.
Yes, figure 9 is actually a map that exists today. This is not a proposal. This is a map that is part of the overlay.
Take care of it.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
When I said that one of the approaches would be to completely either toss the concept away or start from scratch, this is precisely what I was talking about. This is a development concept that 10, 20 years ago may have still been possible, but we don't believe that this is a viable pattern of development today. And for that reason, we framed those two options where the commission, the city, would either start with a new vision or revise this vision.
Thank you. And okay, then for that matter, I think this illustration, this figure should be removed from the report entirely. And I'm sure majority of the residents of that neighborhood would agree with me. Because if I don't see my house there, that shouldn't be in there.
If I may clarify, this is part of the assessment of the existing conditions analysis, and it is meant to just document the regulations and the policies that are in place today know what is being proposed, and it's part of that section of the report.
So Igor, what she's saying is don't take it literally. That's what she's saying, basically.
I am taking it literally, Mr. Mayor. How would you like the conceptual plan where your nice house is replaced by a shopping mall?
Yeah, I think we understand where you're coming from, but I think what we're saying is, yeah. So I think what maybe we can do is in the report, maybe put a disclaimer on it or something, but we understand your concern.
Definitely, and I'm sure my concern would be shared with the entire residency of this neighborhood, and I think that page or that figure should be removed from the report. And I really
Thank you, Igor. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Igor. Okay, Mauricio, next comment.
The next comment is from Stephen Rudell. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, Commission, glad to be with you. Met 17101 North Bay Road, a stakeholder of that property, which is an apartment building. A question for you guys about the change in the Town Center North overlay. So if the overlay is pulled back to only, let's say, only regulate residential property, what is the likelihood, just based on the feedback that you've received from the community, what are the likely implications of removing the commercial district from the overlay? Would it be that the residential zoning and entitlements would remain the same likely, and that the commercial would then be subject to upzoning or downzoning or some modification of the zoning and entitlements? I know that the commission will work through this, but I think just trying to understand what the next steps are here, given, there is a change or a proposed change based on the recommendation in the report.
Yeah, so Sylvia can answer, but I think it's actually the opposite of what you're saying, but go ahead, Sylvia.
Again, all of these are, issues that really need to be delved into this next phase. But if the commission decides to move forward with this narrower focus approach, and mind you, this is not the only way to do this. You could do the opposite as well. Do the overlay over the commercial area and leave the residential. This is the recommendation based on the feedback that we received regarding the commercial area. But as far as I know, today there are no entitlements in the residential area. And Claudia, please, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know of no projects. I may be wrong about that. But yes, definitely, I think that it's on the table to really look at what the appropriate scale for that area is, what the appropriate density is. I really don't have any idea at this point to what extent the city would look to revisit those, but the changes are certainly part of the possibility.
I'm sorry. So, and that's helpful, but I think what I'm saying is, and when you say that area, it sounds like the potential density and intensity that's in place now in what is now kind of being referred to as the residential component of the Town Center North District would be more likely to change than the density and intensity that's in place for the commercial. I guess I'm trying to understand in disaggregating the two types of property.
Sylvia, let me help out a little bit. Okay, Stephen. So just to be clear, what he's saying is let's look at, Sylvia is speaking toward the undeveloped land that could be residential. You're speaking to the buildings that are already there. And so Claudia or Sylvia, why don't you clear up the fact that, the recommendation was from the public, let's leave alone what's already in place, but go ahead and speak to that.
If I may, Mayor, yes, correct. I think what Stephen in concept, what he's understanding, it's It's the opposite, but you are correct. Basically, what we're trying to keep as the vision from the town center overlay, it is to keep it within the residential area, but is to calibrate or maneuver some of the commercial concepts that they'll have for that red area that you see in the map. So entitlements, as Sylvia mentioned, the mayor mentioned, we don't have any current projects in any of the locations, but it will help us to create a new vision for those specific areas in different approaches, because we see those two areas and people feel that those areas are independent from each other. They see those two areas completely different, not that as a one, how can I describe it, as a one infused area that can be treated the same.
Sure, and I think I'm following, and probably goes without saying, but thank you all very much for the work that you've done. I know this has been a long project, and sounds like it may go even longer. So we're in extra.
It will. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Stephen.
participating.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And good comments, because this stuff's complicated. So, okay, Mauricio, keep going.
The next comment, sorry about that. The next comment comes from Rumiana. Rumi, your name and address for the record, please.
Rumiana Grozdanova, 220 186th Street. Hi, everybody. I have one question. I saw it here, high school. Do you have a place for high school? Do you intend to build high school? Because the experience with the school here, with the traffic light, I'm just curious. Do you really think to build high school?
If I may.
No. Yeah, go ahead, Sylvia.
These are not plans. These are not even suggestions. This is just a record of issues that people brought up during public engagement. And I wanted to make sure that the commission understands and knows that people are worried about these things. But these are not proposals.
So to answer your question, Rumi, no, we don't have plans to build a high school, nor do I believe that any of this is pointing toward building a high school.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rumi. Mauricio.
Okay, Mayor. The next comments were submitted through either the public comment card or via email. So some of them are kind of lengthy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the timer and read them, and then just stop wherever the timer ends. But I just want to let the public know that all comments that have been submitted through either the public speaker card that we have online or email are also part of the record for this meeting. So if anyone wishes to see any of the comments, they can just make a public records request and we will provide them. Okay, so the first comment comes from Murat Berkovich. Their address is 231 174th Street. The comment is, the scores are wrong. How let it be option can have lower score than the others. All other than let it be options are giving the district into hands of big pocket developers. It's in risk, complexity, and process expedience difficult to hide. Then the consultants played with community response, which is impossible to check or verify. It is very doubtful that ordinarily citizens want the change. Obviously, it works well for property speculator and the developers. So in the future, we are looking in higher density construction, not to mention many years of traffic problems, noise, dust, and dirt caused by these constructions. The city is selling out. Do you just want me to keep going through, Mayor? Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. The next one comes from Ms. Magali Gordo. Her address is, I'm sorry, it's long. I don't have her address, but she lives in the East Sands Point. 1 second, and I will start the timer with this one. Okay, it says Vice Mayor Svechin and Commissioners Goldman, Lama, and Vizcarra. I'm sure you have received from the city manager, Mr. Russo, and or the city attorney, Mr. Dion, at the conclusion memorandum, an investigative report issued January 13th by the Commission on Ethics and Public Trust. It is yet another independent report which emphasizes the lack of accountability and transparency of city officers, planning consultants, and even the Special Transition Counsel, Ms. Lynn Danheiser. Ms. Danheiser hired the former executive director of the Miami-Dade Commission on Ethics and Public Trust, Attorney Joseph Santorino, who served through August 2018 to conduct an ethics investigation of former Sunny Isles Beach City Attorney Hans Arna for alleged violations of city or county ethic codes. According to the report, it turns out that it is not unethical to expose the truth at any time in your capacity as city attorney, even if you copy a resident or if it benefits a future employer. It seems to me that what is unethical is to cover up a major mismanagement of our zoning laws by first denying and then relying on the same individuals who were responsible for the mismanagement to offer unlawful, unethical solutions while disregarding the importance of determining the results of their impotence, negligence, or worse. No accountability and no transparency in any organization is a sign of a deeper, darker issues. In my opinion, this is also one more independent report which makes clear that Mayor Bud Scholl, the city manager Christopher Russo, zoning director Claudia Haslund, assisted by planners Alex David, Sylvia Vargas, and Special Transition Counsel Lynn Danheiser have and will continue to mismanage and mischaracterize the comprehensive plan and zoning laws, regulations of our beloved city unless this commission intercedes and stops this conduct. Stopping this conduct begins by voting no on item 10G at today's commission meeting. The city officials and consultants are again recommending you approve a misleading resolution. Not only have the officers ignored the fact that as of today, the North Town Center overlay does not exist, but some of the resolution recitals are not truthful. Furthermore, you are being asked to attest to the truth of the recitals. You cannot adopt a resolution which includes false recitals. The city attorney, Mr. Dion, in my opinion, is legally and ethically precluded to sign off as conforming to form and legal sufficient recitals which are untruthful. See below for a highlight of the most egregious false recitals. The city officers and consultants mentioned above were accountable for ensuring the compliance with our comprehensive plan. At various times, they represented to various commissioners that a total of 13 site approvals were in compliance, but you know they were not. Adopting tonight another misleading resolution will make you four commissioners complicit in not providing the residents with the studies first requested in late 2007. The question is no longer whether critical studies are mandated. The question is whether you can make decisions without the studies. Given the 6 non-conforming buildings, are you going to disregard the potential danger to our already endangered quality of life? Should our taxes continue to be used for milling?
Okay, Mauricio.
Okay.
You got 3 minutes. So basically, the comment is lengthy. I read it, and it will be available to the public if anybody wants it. So, you know, one thing Ms. Gordo is consistent. That's for sure. So she's very consistent. So thank you.
Okay, Mayor, and that is it for this item. We do have a comment that came in through the chat just recently. It's from Ricardo Lopez. His address is 15901 Collins Avenue. His question is for Ms. Vargas. Which option will be obsolete in 10 years? In more than 10 years, therefore, it will need to be readdressed.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I'm not really sure how the commenter or Mr. Lopez is defining obsoleteness. This is a recommendation for a comprehensive plan policy change and associated regulations. The concept of a town center is a live concept. And just like the comprehensive plan and the regulations, it has to evolve every so often. That's why the state requires that comprehensive plans be updated every so often, and the reason why communities update their regulations every so often. But with that said, I want to emphasize the 4 points of the vision that I put up in that slide, because I think that when when you set a vision, when you have a vision, you can create a roadmap to towards that vision, and the vision reflects the values of the community and the aspirations of the community. Then the steps that take you there are not going to lead you in the wrong direction. Now, obviously, the vision that is in the comprehensive plan for the town center today did not happen as it was imagined at that point. And that's the reason why, because the city is taking the opportunity today to go back and look at what conditions have changed. Changing conditions is one of the most important factors in communities updating their comprehensive plans, updating their visions, and updating their regulations. None of these necessarily negate the principles of a destination for the community, a place to congregate, a place to go for open space, for meeting other people in the community, a place where people can serve their daily needs. I think those are timeless and don't have necessarily anything to do with a setback or a building height necessarily. Those regulations are what make the vision happen, but they're not the vision.
Thank you, Sylvia. Okay. Mauricio, anyone else?
Yes, Mayor. We just have we have two more people.
Go ahead.
This one is from Mr. Alan Kirscher. His law office is Holland and Knight, and it reads, "Dear Mr. Russo, the undersigned is the legal representative of 17190 Collins Avenue Holdings, LLC, owner of that property located in the city of Sunny Isles Beach at 17190 Collins Avenue. The property is located within the city's Town Center District and within the boundaries of the area discussed in the Town Center North Overlay Report that is scheduled to be discussed before the City Commission on Thursday, February 18th, 2021. It appears that the report is being presented to the City of Sunny Isles Beach City Commission for discussion, approval, and possible adoption. It does not appear that this item itself will make any changes to the land use designation, zoning, or any other land development regulations or entitlements for the property contained in the report. In an abundance of caution, however, by this letter, we would like to reiterate the owner's objections to any action that may be taken by the city that would have the effect of limiting, restricting, or reducing the density or intensity available for development on the property from that provided in the, I'm sorry, let me just repeat that one last sentence. Didn't make really sense. In abundance of caution, however, by this letter, we would like to reiterate the owner's objections to any action that may be taken by the city that would have the effect of limiting, restricting, or reducing the density or intensity available for development on the property from that provided in the existing town center zoning district. I would greatly appreciate if you would include this letter in the records for the agenda item and distribute it to the members of the commission at the appropriate time.
Thanks, Mauricio. Okay.
And then
what else do we have?
Jody, 1 second.
Okay.
Jody, your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, hi, Jody Joseph, 18560 North Bay Road. Mauricio, it was quite interesting what you were reading. I believe Miss Gordo's words. Can I possibly donate 3 minutes and have you read the next 3 minutes? It was very interesting what you were reading, her words were.
No, Jody, your comments are for you. Clearly, if you'd like, I mean, that, Ms. Gordo's letter is open to the public. Anybody can get it, but your comments are for you, okay?
It wasn't a comment. I was just donating my 3 minutes.
I understand, but we don't, it's not like a parliamentary procedure where we yield time to somebody else, and it doesn't work that way, okay? So if you'd like to make a comment, please make it.
It could work that way.
We should be able
okay,
to.
but it doesn't work that way. And I'm the chair, so I decide how it works. So if you'd like to make a comment, please make it.
No, I was just hoping Mauricio could continue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Jody. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, Mauricio. Is that it? We did get a letter. We got a letter from Renan Katz as well, didn't we? Or did that just go to the commission? Did that just go to the commission?
I didn't receive it, Mayor.
Okay, so it didn't go to the, I think it might have just went to the commission directly.
I
but-
received it from Renan. I'm sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I think you received it and distributed it. Chris, you want to just read it?
Yes.
Just so, okay.
Do you
Just
have
in an
it?
abundance of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hold on a second.
I'm looking for it as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I just had it.
Let's see, it just came in, so let me see if, I just, since he's the major property owner, here it is. Okay, I can read it. I can read it. It's very simple, it's very short. Okay. This is addressed to the city manager from Renan Katz. Copied Dan Katz and Andrew Zadar regarding commission meeting today regarding zoning in Sunny Isles Beach. Dear Chris, in regard to the commission meeting today, I just want to make sure my opinion is known. I'm against any new developments greater than 2 stories on the west side of Collins Avenue. I'm also against any developments that will not provide sufficient surface parking on the ground. Otherwise, the people who use the new developments will likely park on RK property due to its easy accessibility and will create a nightmare for us for a long time. Please keep me informed of any changes from this understanding, which I have communicated to you verbally many times in the past. Thank you, Renan Katz. So I just want to put that in the record, that Mr. Katz is basically opposed to anything above 2 stories, which, maybe I hope one day he will, I'm just trying to get my screen back up here. Maybe one day he'll downzone his property, and then that would take care of about 80-90% of the town center. So, but in any case, so that's the last, I guess that's the last letter we have. And I'll close public comments now, Mauricio, unless there's anything else. Okay. Okay, excellent. Okay, well, I guess the pleasure of the commission. So, Commissioner Goldman, you want to go first? You're on mute.
I'd like to hear the comments of my colleagues first.
Okay. Commissioner Lama.
Okay, so I just wanted to make it clear that what we're voting on here is not, we're not defining any densities or intensities. What we're voting here is for the acceptance of the report from the outreach we made to the public. So obviously the next step, as it said in the report, would be to, look at density and intensity and see what those definitions are going to be. So just to make it clear again, we're not voting on density intensity, and we're not voting on any development at this point. That's all.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, Commissioner Viscara.
Thank you, Commissioner Lama, for that clarification. Obviously, this is a my home. I live in this district. It's extremely important. What we're doing, and it's unlikely to produce anything visible or tangible in the near future, and it's a complicated thing to understand, but it's important to address so that when the changes come around, we're prepared to get the desired outcome with the community input. I personally think the report, we're just looking at the report. I think Sylvia and her team did a great job with the community outreach, especially under these conditions. It's a complicated issue. I read it. I think you guys did a pretty good job in trying to make something complicated readable and accessible. So I appreciate that. And I think the presentation was very good. The report itself, very thorough. And I appreciate the recommendations. So I would also move to, we're not voting yet, right? So I appreciate your effort.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Sylvia. I wanted to get additional clarification because we have spent a significant amount of time reading this report, talking to you, talking to Claudia, and I think there's a little bit of confusion as to what let it be means. I think that there is a general idea that means that whatever is currently there physically would stay. Can you clarify what let it be actually means? Because I think that question is a little bit difficult to answer if you don't know that level of detail.
Sure. I gotta say that maybe it was an error to try to come up with clever names. But we needed some way to identify these options so that we could take them out to the public. None of these mean to address what is on the ground today. There's no change to that. This is, we know what's there. We know that the zoning has to do with future development and redevelopment. We know that the future land use map has to do with the future, obviously, as its name suggests. And so letting it be, again, in the context of what we're trying to do in this process, which is to provide a direction for the city to move forward with solving the inconsistency between the future land use map and the zoning code, means letting the overlay stay the way that it was intended, which is how it was in the comprehensive plan, minus those two points that are missing and which are statutorily required.
Okay, thank you. And then I want to also make a comment that I believe Commissioner Goldman made earlier about how important it is to listen to the public. And this was a huge undertaking. And you had mentioned that you could still submit comments online if you wanted to, which is really, really important. I really appreciate Mr. Katz being consistent and stating that he does want it to be higher than 2 stories. What was the average height that Sylvia, if I may ask, that people were generally okay with in that area, the commercial area, obviously?
Yeah. I believe, I have to go back and look exactly, but I think that the average was between 5 and 6 stories for that area.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Goldman, how do you feel now? Is now a better time?
I guess as in life, you always get the last word, right?
I do. It's one of the few benefits of being mayor. There's not many benefits, but this is one of the few.
So I think that my position has been pretty consistent over time. I'd like to at least say that I feel that this resolution is somewhat premature and it's not ripe because there is an intervening lawsuit that's pending the administrative hearing, and I think that the state has basically given the direction that you really can't create even this town center north and town center south. So for me, not only does the administrative hearing and the findings of the judge have to play out before we embark on this, I do find some I do take issue with some of the recitals in this resolution. I do believe that the densities and intensities really are there, and and again, I hearken back to the original comprehensive plan, the 2.0, 2.5. Where I find this report a little misleading is something that I've stated publicly in the past to Sylvia. These concepts of let it be and toss it away and narrow focus and new vision, I think they're somewhat deceptive or misleading because, in fact, even when I was in my briefing this past, a day or two ago, the let it be concept is basically adopting we go with that plan. It's basically adopting what the mayor tried to do in July of 2019. And if you look at the LDRs, that, we have in place, you're talking about the opportunity for, very large redevelopment with bonus intensities and densities and so forth. So the idea of let it be is somewhat inconsistent, I think, the public perception as to what the reality bodes if, in fact, we adopt that. the narrower focus. When you talk about, you know, literally downzoning, you know, one portion versus, you know, keeping the very intense, you know, redevelopment point of you know, the back end or the residential area, I think that's just a recipe for, you know, quite a bit of lawsuit and risk management issues. And I'm not buying into this. I don't support this resolution. I don't support, you know, the timeliness of this particular plan. And I think that the public really, you know, I think it's problematic. So I'm just not feeling it for this at this juncture. But I do appreciate, Sylvia, you know, the work that went into this, and I do appreciate the level of public engagement. But if you look under the hood, so to speak, doesn't really bode well for the future in many different directions. So that's my point.
Thank you.
Okay. This whole issue from the beginning has probably been one of the most misunderstood issues the city's faced for a long time. And it was mischaracterized for a lot of political reasons, unfortunately. And Commissioner Goldman continues to mischaracterize it in some ways. So her and I have a major disagreement on this one, but that's okay. We're all up here to have an independent voice, not to agree on everything. So I have no issue with that. But the fact is, you know, once again, when all this started, okay, a discrepancy was discovered and a problem was discovered. And we had a number of buildings that got built, that got overbuilt, quite frankly, based on the comprehensive plan and at the time. And it was a mistake. And we recognized the mistake. And the issue that we faced was, if there was ever a casualty in those buildings and there was a greater than 50% diminution or destruction of those buildings, they could not have gotten rebuilt under the current rules. And so I certainly felt a sense of urgency to get those buildings compliant in some form or fashion. And that's why we split the two districts. And there's been a lot of argument over whether that was necessary or not necessary. I can tell you the mistake I made was my first path to compliance was to simply agree with the interpretation of all the rules that were already, you know, the way it had been interpreted in the past. And ironically, you know, a lot of the naysayers are accusing the present staff, and the truth is, the folks that were out pounding the table the hardest were the ones that made all the mistakes. You know, I mean, you know, the former city attorney, the former mayor, and they're all here and coming to the commission acting all pious. And here we are having to clean up their mess, quite frankly. That's exactly what happened. So, you know, we got saddled with this mess, and then it became a political hot potato whereby it got mischaracterized and a lot of things evolved from there. We got the public all stirred up. And quite frankly, I don't believe that by the staff or this commission there was ever any bad intentions. I believe that there was a lot of mischaracterization, and I believe it's still getting mischaracterized, you know, to a large degree. You know, quite frankly, I don't care if we kick the can down the road for 5 years. I don't care, because frankly, at some point we're going to have a day of reckoning, and at some point the city's going to have to face what we're going to do with this area. And frankly, and at some point the city, if the city wants to change the area, we're going to have to take some exposure for doing that. And that's the letter from Holland and Knight, you know, and that, you know, that's what you're hearing from the letter from Holland and Knight, with the, you know, one of the landowners that could possibly get rezoned, based on this, based on any proposed changes, is saying, hey, if you do this, I'm going to give you a hard time. Okay. But, you know, frankly, that's a risk. That's a calculated risk. In Sylvia's report, she's got a little risk element for each of these different options, you know, and again, this stuff is complicated. So I don't fault our consultants for trying to package it and put kitschy names on it so folks can try to relate to it, because it's very, very complex. And even when you try to explain it, you know, I always say it's like insurance. When I sit down with my insurance guys, you know, they explain it to me and I understand it when they explain it to me, and I make a decision, but when I walk out of the room, I can rarely explain it back. I can rarely explain again, what just, what I just agreed to. And a lot of these issues, with regard to what we're trying to deal with here, they're complex issues. But one thing I can assure you, nothing nefarious has ever happened here. Okay? Nothing, honestly. This stuff is getting characterized as if I'm trying to pull a fast one, or this one's trying to pull a fast one. And even Commissioner Goldman saying the resolution I tried to get passed in July of 2019. Okay, the fact is, it wasn't to aid and abet anybody. It was to solve the problem with those buildings that were overbuilt by mistake. From the beginning, that was the intent. Okay, what we didn't realize was basically that this would really create an outcry, and it really created an outcry because Renan Katz didn't want to see something get built next to his property, and he wound a lot of folks up, and we went from there. But we're past it all now, okay? So we put the brakes on. Everybody was accusing me of overbuilding. I put a building moratorium in place, and then they accused me, and then they said they didn't want the building moratorium, okay? Including Commissioner Goldman. So, what do you want? Do you not want it developed? Do you want it developed? This is the problem. So, but the fact is, we've had the building moratorium in place. We've completely put the brakes on. I think we've gone through a very exhaustive public process. I feel really bad COVID hit because I think the process could have even been more exhaustive if COVID hadn't hit. So we got a lot of public comment. The report is very comprehensive. And frankly, we're not voting on anything tonight other than saying the report can act as a set of guidelines for us. So it's not like we're getting up here saying we're going to pass a bunch of things. All we're saying is that we listen to the public. We have a set of guidelines to move forward. And the one thing I will agree with Commissioner Goldman is I'm not comfortable with a final vote until that lawsuit's out, because one of our residents is pretty fired up and basically fired off a lawsuit. And again, none of these changes that we've made so far, they went to the state, they got reviewed, they got signed off upon, there was an appeal period. I mean, we went through all these things that, again, we're getting accused of not acting properly. It's not true. So the fact is that I think by adopting this report tonight, all we're saying is we listened to the public, we put a process in place, we had a very robust process, and this is a culmination of these public comments and some stratification or putting them in different buckets and saying, hey, in general, this is what we're looking at. But I believe we're going to have a lot more discussion before we adopt anything in that report. And I believe also that we do need to get past this lawsuit and just basically let's get the naysayers put to bed so we have a clean process. That's the one thing I will agree to. But I don't think adopting this report thwarts that process in any way. So I'm in favor of adopting the report. I get very frustrated because these issues are complicated. It's very easy to mischaracterize them in the eyes of the public. And but the one thing I will tell you is, nobody ever approached this with bad intentions. And I have said 20 times, our main concern was over those buildings that when we realized what happened, they were technically illegal, if you will. So this is what we fixed with the South District. And then that led us to then, trying to create a robust process and an engagement process for the North District. So that's where I stand on all this. And with that in mind, I will take a motion to approve. Motion by Vice Mayor Svechin. Do I hear a second?
Mayor, if I may.
Claudia, did you want to say something?
Just as a point of clarification, is there any strategy or a group of strategies that you want us to start analyzing for the future of that area, or do you want us to look at the 4 strategies?
Not tonight. Okay. Yeah, I think we digested enough tonight. I don't really want to, not tonight. I think that I think everybody kind of said their piece tonight. I think Sylvia gave us because frankly, I'd like to go back and read, and I went through it and I heard Sylvia's comments and I've heard, and again, but I'm not ready to do that tonight. We'll bring that up in another meeting. But frankly, I'm not, because of this lawsuit, I'm like I said, I don't mind adopting the report or accepting the report, but frankly, I just want the thing to play out before we go through any more heartburn over this.
Understood. Thank you.
So I have a motion by the Vice Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Viscara. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, note for the record, Commissioner Goldman's opposed, and the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Claudia. Okay. Whew, what a night. Moving right along. Item 10H.
10H is a resolution approving the request submitted by Century Towers Associates LLP to place 3 temporary banners at the Marina Del Mar project located at 100 Kings Point Drive.
Claudia.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this is an application from Century Towers for the project located at 100 Kings Point Drive, a temporary banner for their upcoming project under construction. I think you have in front of you the proposed banners that they want to do for that area. I think, Mauricio, can you bring it up to screen so they can see it, please? So based on discussions, if you can go to the next page. Next one. This is the original option that they had in their proposal. This will wrap around to the current building. Next slide, so they can see it, Mauricio, please. And that is how it looked. This is the original option. However, based on comments and discussions that we had, they're also including a different option for that. And Mauricio, if you can go to please page 2 and 3. That option basically will eliminate the banner that they have facing east. Mauricio, the next page, I'm sorry. So basically that is how it will look. You have those 2 options for the temporary banners to promote their current project, the Marina Del Mar project.
Okay, thank you, Claudia. Mauricio, do we have comments from the public on this issue?
Yes, we have Richard Brock.
Okay. Oh, actually, yeah, he's the developer, so you can let Rich speak. Go ahead, Rich.
Thank you, Mayor Scholl and Commission. We appreciate the opportunity to present this temporary banner. As you're aware, we are bringing on 256 new units in the southern quadrant of Sunny Isles, southwest quadrant. With that, we are experiencing obviously some occupancy issues due to that, as well as we need to start beginning the lease up of these 2 new towers. So we're requesting the commission to grant us access to one of the 2 options presented tonight.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments from the public, Mauricio?
None, Mayor.
Okay. Comments from the commission? Anyone would like to speak? Vice Mayor.
First, I'd like to say thank you, Claudia, and to the applicant for giving us a second option. It is definitely much better than the first, because I do want to recognize the residents that live around that area right now that have had to deal with the construction, and I felt that having a giant sign like that staring at them for 2 years was going to be somewhat abrupt. So I really appreciate you coming back with the revised plan. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Sure.
Commissioner Goldman.
So for me, and obviously I stare at this building every day because I'm, live in the South, I'm a Southie. I think we've had a pretty liberal and accommodating policy with banners and signage. We've had very large signage with the Armani Casa, I think Aquilina, I'm not sure all these, but over the years, we've certainly been accommodating. And for me, I recognize that, that's a primary way of, leasing up a multifamily property. So I don't have any objection to, either option 1 or option 2, because I recognize that's how that works. And it's, again, it's a temporary thing, and we do it for all the other developers. So.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I believe Rich wanted to say one more thing.
I'm sorry? Rich did? Okay, Rich, go ahead. Shoot.
No, I just wanted to make myself available for any comments from the commission. That's all.
You got it. Thanks. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Okay. Alex or Jennifer, any comments?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just want to kind of like mimic a little bit what Commissioner Goldman said. I mean, we've seen these type of banners for other developments. Obviously, you need to get some people in there to rent it. And thank you for both options that you presented. I don't know, I just wanted to ask you, Rich, if you've heard anything from, or if you did some outreach or, question some of the neighbors around that area.
We did do some outreach. We haven't really had any concerns because people have all stated, well, they do it elsewhere. Why wouldn't they let you do it? So, I mean, that's really what we've been hearing. When we presented the original option, which was the full wraparound banner, that particular is a staircase on our building that comes out 8 feet, is about 16 feet wide and another 8 feet back. So we were trying to utilize the space, but based on some of the comments we got from the commission, we gave you the second option to remove the center banner because we understand it may be intrusive to our neighbors to the due east, which is really Trump Tower 2 and 3. And we want to be neighborly. We've been very neighborly and refining some of our design and development aspects to include being conscious of our neighbors. And we're just trying to continue down that path of being neighborly. So we just heard what your voice said. And so we wanted to give you an option because obviously, we're spending a lot of money to beautify the southwest portion. And I think this is the first development that's been up since 1987 in this quadrant of the city. And so we want to make it a very positive one for everyone, inclusive of the bay walks, inclusive of the workforce housing we're bringing on. We're just trying to be a good owner and a good resident as well to our neighbors. That's all.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Viscar.
All my comments have been addressed. I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so Rich and I had a chat over the past couple of days, and clearly, I gave him a hard time on the east banner, the big one, that would face the Trump Towers, because I thought it was pretty in your face, and then I also felt like the two narrow banners, pick up the north and southbound traffic, which is really what you're looking for ultimately. The one thing I will say is I think the Bernetti Group, Rich and his colleagues, they've been very responsive. Maybe a lot of folks don't know this, but they actually deeded us the frontage on Collins Avenue for us to mate it up with where the sales center is for the Ritz-Carlton. And we will have another park there in the future. And they were kind enough to do that. And that was not, it was basically, this was part of what they offered up, when we approved their building in the first place. And the difference between this group and other developers in the city, this group sticks around because, frankly, they own these projects and they will operate them as a multifamily building. So I think that, that's a little bit different than a developer that comes in, builds a building, flips it over to the condo association and leaves. So I have found them to be very responsible. Nobody likes when a building's getting built. There's dust, there's debris, there's all kinds of issues. But again, when I've gotten complaints and I've either called Rich or called the manager, they're Johnny on the spot. So again, I'm fine with with that first option where we've got the two narrow banners, and I appreciate the commission's support on that as well. So with that, I'll take a motion for approval. Okay, so moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Goldman. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, Claudia, are we clear on what we just voted on? Okay,
Which
I think
option are you voting on?
page 2 and 3. It's the two banners on the side of the building, and I think they're 100 feet, if I'm not mistaken. They're 100
Thank
feet
you.
for the record, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commission.
Rich.
We greatly appreciate it.
You got it, Rich. All right, take care. Okay, item 10I.
10I is a resolution ratifying the issuance of a purchase order to MWI Corporation to provide repair services to the Golden Shore Stormwater Pump Station.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commission. This is an item that you've seen recently. We piggyback our fuel purchase through, am I the right one? through piggyback of the state of Florida. Am I the right one? No, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. I have all the documents open. This is
This is I, Susan.
yes, I'm sorry. It's been a long night. It's the emergency purchase of a second repair of a pump for the Golden Shores Pump Station. We had previously authorized under the city manager's authority, it was under $50,000 to repair the large pump for the Golden Shores Pump Station. While that one was being repaired, the small pump developed a leak and subsequently became worse. So we are now going to exceed $50,000 to repair the second pump with the same company.
Got it.
And it's a ratification.
One-stop shopping.
Yes.
Any comments from the public on this, Mauricio?
Oh, sorry.
You're muted, Mauricio. There you go.
Okay. Yes, we have Yude. 1 second. Yude, your name and address for the record, please.
Yude Merino. What I want to say, it's the last subject because I'm here from 1985, more than everybody else here on the screen. And I've been in Sunny Isle when it was small community, very homey. Everybody knew everybody. And now it seems like more and more it's getting commercial and we're losing all the city. Little by little, it's going to be so huge and so crowded.
We're on the pump.
It's a joke.
We're voting on a pump. Let's be clear.
No,
okay?
That's what I said because I pick up my hand before, and that's why I said I want to talk about the last subject. I know we're voting on the pump, but I'm not on the pump. I'm on the last subject, which
I know, but you honestly, I got to keep the meeting going. The public comments closed on the last subject. So just to be
but
clear,
this is not right. When you pick up your hand in the middle when they're talking about the last one, no, he didn't call me. You know what I mean? So that's why I start my conversation.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I said it's for the last one. And it's not right, you know what I mean, to continue to let everybody talk. And when I want to talk, you stop me, which I said, we're losing the Sunny Isle. It's a small community and it's getting more commercial, which it's really getting out of hand. So now you can go to the next subject.
Thank you. Okay,
You're
sorry
welcome.
about that. We're sorry we missed you on the prior issue. Okay. Any other comment regarding the pump? No other public comments. Okay. Any comments from the commission? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Goldman, second by the Vice Mayor. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Next item, 10J.
10J is a resolution approving a 60-day contract extension for the purchase of unleaded fuel using the Right Express Financial Services Corporation for a fuel card program.
So this is where we piggyback with the state of Florida for the purchase of our fuel for all of our fleet. They have continued to extend their contract while they are still working out the bid for a new contract. And now it's another 60-day increment. So we are piggybacking their agreement for another 60 days.
Okay. Any public comment on the Right Express contract?
No, Mayor.
None. Okay. Any comments from the commission? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Goldman, second by Commissioner Lama. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Item 10K.
10K is a resolution ratifying change order number 30 relating to the agreement with Roll Global Networks for the Collins Avenue Utilities undergrounding project.
This is not a monetary change order. This is a time extension because of all the delays we've had on the installation of the streetlights. It's a time extension to June 30th this year. Hopefully we can get them all in.
Mauricio, any comments from the public on this?
No, Mayor.
Chris, what's the current tally? I know it was about 169 lights, and we were about 110 or 101 last time.
Yeah, I think we're getting up towards 130. It's probably 30 or 40 more. There's an issue with 15 of the original bases that we use. That's an issue that we're hoping goes away. And I think it's about 30, maybe a little bit more. So.
Okay. Great. Okay. Well, at least we this year we had some Christmas decorations because at least the lights that were up were functional and able to power the decorations. So I've gotten more blowback on Christmas decorations over the years. Yeah. I shouldn't say Christmas, holiday decorations over the years than I've gotten on a lot of issues, I can tell you. Okay. Any comments from the commission on extending the time to complete the undergrounding project?
I just want to comment it's nice to vote on anything related to undergrounding that doesn't cost us a lot of money. So yeah. So I'm for it.
Very good point. Yeah, it's not another $4 million. Okay. So I'll take a motion by Commissioner Viscara to approve. Yes. And then a second by Commissioner Goldman. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Item 10L.
10L is a resolution expressing support for House Bill 6027 and Senate Bill 594, which would repeal the preemption of local laws regulating the use or sale of auxiliary containers, wrappings, and disposable plastic bags, as well as polystyrene products.
I think it's an extension of what we started with, right, Dana? So go ahead.
It's just, hey, it's more about what we do here matters, and whether it's small or large, we have to absolutely do everything in our power to move the needle on, climate change and on litter and doing, what we can. And that's, just sure. Sending the message loud and clear about the fact that the state should not be in the business of preempting on issues that really matter, and that the municipalities should be able to advocate or regulate.
Great. So just so the public's clear, this bill kind of, or this resolution kind of goes hand in hand with with the ordinance that we passed. So, okay. Is there any public comments from the public, Mauricio?
Yes, we do, Mayor. One second. Catherine, your name and address for the record, please.
Catherine Newton, Hollywood, Florida, South Florida field organizer for Oceana. Thank you for letting me speak again. I would like to express support for this resolution. This state bill is really all about home rule. As you stated earlier, ordinances with plastic bans are easier to enforce if the stores just aren't allowed to distribute or sell certain items. As a consumer, I am very limited in the restaurants I can order takeout or delivery from because I care about the environment and about my health. I refuse to drink or eat from polystyrene foam. So if there was less foam, I could actually support more businesses. Municipalities in Florida are currently able to regulate plastic straws because Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed a piece of legislation that would have banned local governments from regulating plastic straws. And in his veto, DeSantis said that the state should simply allow local communities to address this issue through the political process, and that the Florida DEP has encouraged Florida residents, schools, and businesses to reduce plastic straw use. This should remain true for plastic retail bags and polystyrene foam, harmful items that entire states and nations are eliminating. Local governments should have a right to make their own decisions about the regulation of single-use plastic. Their communities are directly affected when plastic contaminates their coastlines. These cities and towns are also bearing the cost of managing plastic waste, so they should have the authority to regulate it. We have seen the devastating effects of red tide, toxic algae, oil spills, diseased coral reef tract here in Florida. It is shameful that Florida is not a leader on environmental action to reduce single-use plastics. Floridians should be outraged that local governments are banned from reducing plastic in their own communities. Thank you for adding this resolution to your meeting agenda, and I urge you to vote yes to support home rule.
Thank you, Kat. Anyone else, Mauricio?
No, Mayor, that's it.
Okay, any other comments from the commission? Very good. Okay, do we hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Goldman, second by Commissioner Lama. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, very good. Okay, item 10M was pulled. Item 10N, correct? I don't think we have a 10M now, right? Yeah, because that one was
No.
pulled. Okay.
Yeah,
Item 10N, yep, our home-based business. Yep, go ahead.
10N is a resolution strongly opposing House Bill 403 and Senate Bill 266, which seek to preempt local governments from regulating home-based businesses in residential dwelling units and those areas zoned for residential use.
Okay, who's taking this one?
So basically, this is another preemption attempt by Tallahassee, which they want to take away municipalities' right to regulate any local businesses. To be clear, this is not an anti-home business or work from home resolution, but it just means that we want to be able to retain any right to regulate and also come up with solutions to businesses being run out of homes or any licensing or requests from residents. Just imagine we can't regulate, businesses that spring up in somebody's home. I mean, it could be a disaster here, so we need to be able to keep our home rule rights in local municipalities.
They're just stepping all over us these days. So, all right.
They're trying it all the time.
Yeah. So, Mauricio, any comments from the public on this one?
No, Mayor, not for this.
No comments. Any comments from the commission? Vice Mayor.
I just want to echo what Commissioner Lama was saying. This is not an attack on home businesses. This is more about businesses that potentially have anything that is toxic or harmful to the environment or can cause any sort of safety issue in the neighborhood or to a building. This does not in any way preclude somebody from running a business. It just means that we want to make sure they do it safely. So
correct. Yeah. And it goes back to, like you said, Vice Mayor, to safety and obviously quality of life, so that's basically it.
Commissioner Goldman, do you have a comment?
I think it's a worthwhile resolution. I think it's really, I think cities should have a right to regulate, home business activity that could be, impact the quality of life of the neighboring areas.
Great. Commissioner Viscara.
Anything that threatens home rule, we have to push back on hard. And this particular one is, it's trampling all over like code and zoning too. It's ridiculous. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I think everything's been said. So with that, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Lama. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Last on our list, item 10O.
10O is a resolution qualifying and approving the short list of architectural engineers, to provide architectural services on an as-needed basis.
Yes, this is, as Mauricio said, this is the continued results of our RFQ for professional services that we started to shortlist at our last commission meeting. With architectural services, we're requesting the approval of the following 4 firms to be shortlisted for architectural services: Perkins and Will Architects, MC Harry and Associates, Rodriguez Architects, and BEA Architects is the ones that we'd like to seek approval for our list.
Understood. Mauricio, any comments from the public?
None.
No comments. Any comments from the commission? No comments. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Goldman, second by Commissioner Lama. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. That is the end of our resolutions. Well, what a night. Okay, we will move on to discussion items. We have 3. We'll go on to item 12A, no right turns on red lights. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So when I originally asked for this to be added, this was certainly in response to the tragedy that happened last week. And it was more to kind of shock everyone into realizing we have to take a closer look to all of the traffic rules and laws that we have in the city, not just on 826. So I was very pleased to see the response from Secretary Wolf so quickly to our city manager. That was, I think that was probably a record of how quickly they were able to move on that. So this is really more not a discussion item for today, but I would like to consider, or the commission to consider, a workshop where we can really spend a significant amount of time talking about what we really would like FDOT to start looking at in the city. And as we all know, it really is more about Collins than anywhere else. That's, the scariest place for pedestrians, for bicycles. We all know the certain places like 174th Street. I can't tell you how many times I've personally witnessed kids almost this close getting clipped when people are turning right to the south because everyone's in a hurry. So I'm not suggesting that we outlaw turning right on red. I'm suggesting that we take a really good look at what it is we're prepared as a community to give up for the purposes of providing a safer environment for our children and our residents. So with that, I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks as far as scheduling a separate workshop specifically for this discussion.
Yeah, I think a workshop would be great. And I think it flows with item 12B, clearly. I think nothing's off the table. So I think what we need to do is, we're going to get some comment tonight on what happened. That's why I opened the meeting, just to show everybody that this is top of mind for us. And then we'll get input, and then the same old story. We got to see what we can and can't do. I don't know where the boundaries are. I don't believe that we could make the decision to keep people from turning right. But it's interesting, the big problem we have here is that when you're making a right turn, you're looking left. And when you're looking left and the traffic clears, you don't look right again to see if somebody's walking in front of your car, and then you go and you make the right turn. This happens all the time, and this is really the issue we have just because of how busy our sidewalks are, and it's a matter of, we're back to awareness, and it's impossible. The other thing that happens is that I've noticed is that if somebody's standing in the crosswalk, even if they're standing in the crosswalk across the street, you're not supposed to turn. You're not supposed to break the barrier of that crosswalk if somebody's in the crosswalk, even if they're on the other side of the street. And cars go around the pedestrians all the time, sometimes in front of them, sometimes behind them. It's wrong, but I think, to your point, Vice Mayor, I think that we should, and I'll leave it to you to do it. I think we should put a workshop together on traffic safety issues, and, you get the chief involved, maybe we get FDOT involved, and we say, what's on the table? What can we do if we want to make it more restrictive, and we want to make it, and we want to make, our community safer with, with some tougher rules. So I think it's great. Anybody else want to comment on it?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's
Dana.
No, that's okay. Jennifer, you go ahead.
I think it's a great idea. It's certainly something worth exploring. And I guess it was part of the workshop, but also where the U-turns, because you're looking left, right? When you're doing the right, you're looking left for traffic, and you think you're clear. You think you're good with the pedestrians, and then somebody else is making a U-turn that right in that, like near City Hall. That happened to me today. So I think definitely it's an issue worth exploring. So good idea.
Dana.
So I do like the idea of a workshop, and that was, one of the things that I thought about, as I put my discussion item on. But I also think that, we should consider actually some sort of a walkabout, some community involvement in, all the hot spots, all the areas of this city where we have some real risk factors. So one of the ideas that I had, doing some sort of a walkabout. I also believe we should consider whether we're going to hire some consultant or expert to work with, not just us going in a workshop and saying, hey guys, what do we think about 178th Street? we should really consider some traffic safety experts to really lay out whether it's radar sensors or it's striping or artwork or whatever, that, you know, bring in some level of expertise in addition to, you know, what kind of input we're going to get from our police department. And then of course, from our, from FDOT representatives. So I think this needs to be a little bit more than just, you know, a workshop environment, but I think that's also an important next step, in addition, obviously, to the commentary that, you know, hopefully we'll be receiving on this.
Can I add, Mayor?
Sure.
That's a great point, Commissioner Golden. I wasn't suggesting we do it in a vacuum. In fact, I meant that we would include the public in a much bigger workshop. I've already spoken to the school board about a specific area by the public. I see Rumi has her hand up. I know she's been an advocate about adding some streetlight potentially or something there. So the school board is already going to be looking at that street, and they do have the power to include certain studies. So they're already on board to be included in our conversation. I spoke to Congressman Schultz's office as well, and they will support whatever it is we want to do, and they want to be included as well. So this is, like you said, this needs to be a real community effort on everybody's part, and I wholly support hiring some experts in addition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the good news is the expertise in this area is old and cold. I mean, there's a lot of expertise in this area. It's not hard to find a traffic consultant that can come in and even, you know, and just give us a realm of possibilities, because that's what I'd like to understand. You know, what could we do on our own? What requires FDOT? You know, what's been done in other places? Has FDOT approved certain things in other places based on the fact that that was problematic? You know, maybe St. Augustine. I mean, I think of communities like ours, and maybe there's been exceptions made in other places. So I do think, so I completely agree that we got to find somebody with maybe a little bit of horsepower, but they can give us, you know, kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, if you will. So it's good stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
I like to comment. I mean, I agree with all the comments. I think we should, next step would be to put together a plan of action, public engagement, a workshop, invite some experts and see what that, plan would be, and have some sort of timeline so we could get results in a certain period of time, and then some actionable points and move on from there. So that's my suggestion. Put a plan together.
So then I think the walkabout's interesting, but we can't do it together, obviously, because of sunshine, just to be clear. So I don't want the public to think that we're shirking the walkabout. Jennifer, do you want to make a comment before we move on? Okay, great. So Larissa, I'll we'll leave that in your court, and let's see if we can, work with staff. Let's see if we can find some resources. But I think, you can go on point with that one. That's great. So, okay, let's move on.
Mayor, I'm sorry, before we move on, did you want to allow for the public comment?
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's discussion. I always think, I forget, but okay, go ahead, 12A.
Okay, we'll start off with Rumi. Rumi, your name and address for the record, please.
Romiana Grozdanova, 220, 186th Street. I want to say this. All over, everybody, every city, they have a right to turn on red. Of course, they have to watch. For example, I'm on 186th Street, wants to go on Collins, but on 189th Street, the light is red, so the car is stopped. I have to turn right. The same situation, 185th Street. You have no car. If it's not coming car and not have somebody to cross the street, why we have to be not allowed everywhere? To have something else, yes. For example, where is the crosswalk 189th Street before Lechman Causeway? This is very dangerous place. It has to be light, traffic, anything else. but people have to have a freedom to watch. Nobody is gonna. If somebody go and hit somebody, it's not because of this. They have to be more vigilant to look left, right. But I think has to have up more police to watch all these people who broke the law, run on red, or people across and they are running to pass them. No, something else. I don't know, probably has to be public experience also, because to take some decision is like a law by some people, but has to have some decision. Let's speak with the people, what they like, what they wanted, how. I know the law is a law, of course. We have to follow the law. But, for example, I was telling, my hand was up, but Mauricio didn't let me speak. When it's off the beach, the garbage can for all this plastic, some people drink water. They have to be all over on the beach, every exit, every entrance, okay? Because many people from the hotel, they get the water and they left the bottle on the beach. I am glad somebody mentioned the lifeguard can watch that there, this high position, but that's supposed to be something more. Garbage can on the beach. The dogs do not go.
Okay, Rumi.
Okay, but this right turn, I'm curious. That's everywhere.
Okay. Thank you, Rumi. And just to be clear, Rumi, the vice mayor didn't say she wanted to ban right turn on red. She basically said she wanted to start a discussion and she wanted something as shocking as right turn on red to basically show people that, you know, this is how seriously we're taking it. So, so that's the issue.
Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, it's not. When I moved here, I was shocked that people could make a turn on a red light. You know, in a lot of countries, you cannot do that. So I see it as something normal. Yeah, especially in a city where we have so much going on.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it does get difficult though sometimes when we have different traffic rules from you know, from just over the bridge. This is what makes it difficult. I'm not saying yay or nay, but that's why I think we need experts. And I agree with Rumi. We get the public's input, we get some experts, and then we see what the playing field looks like. So, okay, Mauricio, who else do we have?
I'm sorry, we have you. 1 second. You go ahead.
Hi. In my opinion, when you go to Aventura Mall, you have to take a right. So, and you have sign there, you have to stop before you take the right. So why we don't do it here to stop on the right, on the red light, and then you have camera in the middle of the street to take a picture with the driver license for somebody doesn't stop on the red, and then you get a ticket.
Yeah, I agree. And that is the law. It is the law. Even if you're going to make a right turn on red, you have to stop.
Yeah,
but
not in Sunny Isle when you have all these tourists. They don't care.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. So, you know, it's funny. We had the red light cameras for a while, and then the state, and we had issues with the state, and went back and forth and back and forth. But again, we do a workshop that may be part of a comprehensive solution. You know, is to put the cameras back up. So I'm not against that either, because I feel like if you don't want to get a ticket with the camera, don't break the law. So
right, because somebody almost ran my daughter when she came from the beach and she crossed the street when it was green light, and somebody was on Collins. He took the red light very fast. They almost ran her over. And we saw the police cross the street, and we told the police because we saw the car. He said, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything because I didn't see it." I said, "It's enough. They almost killed my daughter." I said, "They're waiting until something really happened, like this boy, 11 years old, for somebody to wake up to see what's going on in Collins Avenue." Because I'm really volunteer to be on the street there, and you know what I mean? And with the police, and I can catch like almost every second car to give them a ticket.
Yeah. Thank you, Yude. Thank you. Okay. Mauricio, any other comments?
Yes, Mayor, we have just a couple more. From the chat, we have from Anna Uran. Her comment is, SIB PTSA is in support to any initiative that can help to make safer the streets for our children. And then we also have one more public comment speaker card that was submitted. This comes from Patrick Dunn. His comment is, while in agreement that safety at signal intersections will be enhanced by prohibiting turning on red, this strategy may be better applied during certain periods of the day considered higher risk, as well as targeting particular intersections. Regardless, right now we are in need of a greater police presence and targeted enforcement of troubled intersections, as all too often motorists fail to stop prior to the crosswalk and while yielding to oncoming traffic seem oblivious to pedestrians or cyclists.
Got it. Again, I think it's all good stuff to be addressed. So thank you. Anyone else, Mauricio?
That is it, Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
1 second. Isabella, go ahead. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. It's 100 Bayview Drive, Sunny Beach, Allen House Building. First of all, probably I'm going to repeat a little bit of what everybody say. I am going to speak, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity. This is the first time that I'm here listening to all of you. I know you know what we have to do. I know everybody, Mayor, you started this meeting saying what the action that needs to be taken. I'm close to the family of Anthony's, and I'm not speaking with them. I'm speaking about my own daughter, my daughter's friend. I picked to live in Sunny Isles 10 years ago. When I heard about the school, a public school for my daughter, I picked to live here because safety was my first concern. I feel that my daughter can be on the streets and it's not going to be criminals. It's not going to be dangerous for her. Right now, I feel that I have to keep my daughter inside. She's 14 years old and hold her friends, and I cannot let her go because I'm afraid that something is going to happen. We live in a millionaire's neighborhood. I know a lot of things that we can do immediately. I feel a little bit sad that I was passing 163rd a couple times today, and I only see a police officer standing over there for like an hour and a half this morning. I feel that the quick solution right now is to have more bodies on the street. I had the opportunity a couple of days ago to speak with Mrs. Tana Goldman, and we expressed this to her. We want to see more bodies. The example that I can give you is Bal Harbor and Golden Beach. Bal Harbor is always police on the street. And that is the reason why a lot of people doesn't speed over there, because you know for sure that you're going to get a ticket over there, because it happens to me. It happens once to me that I get a ticket because I was speeding a little bit. I never did it again because that ticket cost me money, and and I don't want to happen again. So I just feel as a parents that we need to take immediately actions to this matter, having more bodies outside. I completely aware that all of you here knows what is the problem. All of you are completely aware what we can do. Some things are going to take time, but please help us to have less fear for our children or for ourselves. My husband and I, we run every single day from 163rd. And you know what? We have that fear every single moment. Every time we're running on the street, we have the fear on the intersections, on the street. We saw people speeding all the time, and it's stressful. So we just want help. We want to live in this beautiful neighborhood, and we want to feel that our city is doing something for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isabella.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for speaking. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mauricio.
That was it, Mayor. We can move on to the next item.
Okay, so I think we started with this one. I think we started on this one, and we did public comment at the end. So that's a wrap on 12A. Larissa, you'll pull the you'll pull the structure together, and we'll go from there. Okay, 12B. Obviously, I think these two are probably running together in some form or fashion. But Commissioner Golden, why don't you kick off 12B?
So, of course, we are absolutely devastated about what happened this past week, and but it's not the first time this is. The magnitude, of course, is so obvious of this great tragedy with this small child, but it's not the first time that we've had a collision of pedestrian and motorist, or bicyclist and motorist, and want to acknowledge this conflict and these collisions that are occurring, and noticeably that this is not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not this crosswalk, it's this intersection, it's this speeding area. It's just a generalized feeling amongst our residents that we're not getting enough enforcement of our existing, laws, and we're just not putting enough in place to really combat and control and, mitigate this horrendous issue that we're having. And so while it's laudable that the police department has started with this educational platform, we do understand that 70% of the motorists on our roads are not our residents. So how are we going to get outreach to those 70%? So I know there's a lot on the table. I know in the past when we've had a horrible situation with jaywalkers, we've been able to address that by putting the median, strips out there. We can look to our neighbors to the north and our neighbors to the south to see what they've been implementing. There are now even new safety measures in Bal Harbor on their crosswalks. They have signage in the middle of the street and so forth. But we need to do better. We need to improve, and we need to really address this head on. And really, we have a lot of people in this community. I've met engineers from FDOT who live here. We have to have a level of community engagement involvement. And that was really the impetus for this discussion item. So we're hoping to do beyond just a workshop, just getting the community to really voice and see what we can do and how we can address this to really, make a difference and make a change and make a positive impact on, what is our greatest challenge, which is public safety of our residents and our pedestrians. And we need to change basically the mindset of pedestrian first, and that was really the impetus for this. So I'd like to open it up to all the comments. I've been hearing from people, meeting with people, and I'm sure my colleagues have as well, but we need to further this discussion and take action.
Thank you, Commissioner Golden. I don't think anybody's arguing. Mauricio.
We'll start with the public comment speaker cards that we received. The first one comes from Samira Weinberg. Address is 320 Ponciana Island. Her comment is, I'm writing to the City Commission regarding the very unsafe traffic in and out of CVS parking lot, which is right at the intersection of 178th and Collins. There are a lot of children in the morning as well as during school pickup and drop off, but unfortunately, people are speeding and not paying attention. I just saw a boy almost get hit today when he was crossing. We have to make our streets safer for all of us, but we need to be vigilant for our children. We all know what happened with this little boy that got hit last week, and it is such a tragedy. We cannot let anything like this happen again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The next comment is from Patrick Dunn, 317 191 Terrace. His comment is, I believe we passed the point where public awareness alone campaign will solve the issues. We need more traffic enforcement on Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard, as well as throughout our city, while we develop a plan to compel drivers to slow down and stay vigilant in order to reduce the chances of another statistic. I walk regularly for exercise leisure throughout my community, and it appears as of late, not only are there more aggressive drivers commuting through our city, recklessly at a high rate of speed, but residents also failing to abide by traffic laws as well. Traffic enforcement impacts overall safety and well-being of our community. Sustained enforcement will negate bad driving behavior, excuse me. The next comment is from Anastasia Panfilova, 16485 Collins Avenue. Her comment is, what happened to the 11-year-old boy is not an isolated incident. This is becoming a recurrent issue in Sunny Isles Beach. Over the past 3 years, there have been numerous reports of pedestrians or cyclists getting hit by a car. Since Sulma's incident, we have been asking our city to take action. We even presented at one of the commissioners' meetings, pleading you to take action. You agreed that there is a problem and promised to address our concerns. Fast forward 2 to 3 years, what have you done to increase our safety? As our elected officials, you did nothing to protect us from reckless driving, and the result of this ignorance is life-threatening injuries sustained by this boy. Our police is not doing their job. Their presence is passive. Empty cars, police cars at major intersections, not observing traffic, not issuing citations, police cars sitting at the back of Arcade Plaza, on a lonely street in Golden Shores, Atlantic Isles, etc., where there is barely any car traffic. Why are they there in the first place? Who decides where to station police? We need active policing to enforce the law and ticket those who make illegal turns, cross on red light, and do not yield to pedestrians. Number one, reduce speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25 to 30 miles. New York City, the largest city and the most congested in the world, has a speed limit of 25 miles an hour. If they can do it, why can't we? Our city isn't a highway, but cars speed through the city at 45 to 50 miles an hour. Unlike neighboring cities, we have the highest foot traffic and the largest number of families with children and expectant mothers. Number two, install street cameras as needed. Number three, widen our sidewalks east and west. He skipped number four. Number five, red car traffic flashing lights, railroad style at all major crosswalks. 163rd Street near Gateway Park, where the boy was hit, northbound lanes, 2 crosswalks near the exit to William Causeway Bridge, southbound exit to 163rd Bridge from Collins Avenue. These are the ones that come to mind right now, but I am sure that there are more. Number 6, install yellow flashing lights and sensor lights, similar to pedestrian bridge by Winston Towers, at the following locations. U-turn at 163rd Street and Collins Avenue, around Gateway Park for cars to go east, making a U-turn to turn west. This is a blind spot for the oncoming traffic as they speed through the area and rarely pay attention to pedestrians and do not stop. 163rd Street and Collins Avenue, southbound crosswalk is even more dangerous than Gateway Crosswalk. Here's why. You get only 8 seconds to cross this street. This is not enough. You have a large group of people with strollers and beach carts. By the time you get on the road, you have only 3 seconds left to cross the entire intersection with a large crowd in front of you that you can't pass. When southbound Collins traffic stops at red light, you have at least 2 cars who are making a right turn without stopping on the light. As a pedestrian, you have to yield to them to avoid getting hit by a car. And once they finish the turn, you have 2 seconds to cross the street. How is this safe? 1 second. Okay, the next one is from Murat Berkovich, 231 174th Street. Their comment is, what is the situation with the pedestrian bridge project at 174th Street? It is long overdue. Instead of making new rules, the city and county must enforce existing laws and regulations. Collins Avenue is a Wild West. Why can Bal Harbour enforce red traffic light rules by installing the street cameras and Sunny Isles Beach cannot? What about speed detecting cameras? Why can they not be installed? The city does not care and is too busy being courted by deep pocket developers. And that's it for this item, Mayor. We have some people that wish to speak. We will start with Ari Steiger. Ari, your name and address for the record, please.
Ari Steiger, 262 Atlantic Island. First, my thought and prayers are for the family of the little boy, the 11-year-old boy, in this difficult time. I hope for a full recovery Does anybody know what his condition is? Second, I think the police should increase the radar on 163rd Street and on Collins Avenue. I've been there every day, and those Maseratis and Ferraris and Lamborghinis on full speed with the mufflers open completely. There is a law that you cannot modify mufflers. They should get tickets for it. Second, congratulations for the mayor on the granddaughter. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, the next is Jody. Jody, go ahead.
Yes, hi, this is Jerry Joseph, speaking for Jody, 18560 North Bay Road, Sunny Isles Beach. I think that, and no one is saying that most of the problems here relates to distracted drivers. Anyone that drives regularly, you look at the car next to you and you see someone on the cell phone. It's so rampant. You have, and I know maybe the city doesn't want to go after tourists, but you have tourists coming down, looking at their cell phones for directions. It's just such a problem. I think rather than radar cameras, we need distracted driver cameras, or maybe binoculars, that the police need to have binoculars, that they can see who's actually using a cell phone and pull them over. Can't hear you, bud.
Mayor, I'm sorry. It doesn't seem like your microphone is picking up your voice.
Yep, there it is. Okay. Jerry, it's a great point. When we opened the conversation tonight, that's what I said. The tragedy was, this was a distracted driver. She was distracted and ran the red light. 2 parked cars sitting at the light, blew right by the parked cars. It's terrible. So I completely agree.
But it's one
really
thing
frustrating
to acknowledge it. It's the other thing to have the police officers actually pull people over.
Yeah.
In their cars on Collins, and we never see anyone pulled over.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry.
I think I'd like to say something. I think that the great irony of this is I hear over and over and over again from every quadrant of this city, why don't the police give tickets? Why don't they give actual tickets where you got a cord and so forth? We get maybe warnings and pull over, but are we giving tickets? Are we literally enforcing those laws in the same way that if you drive through Golden Beach, you are going to get a ticket if you're speeding? Do people have no fear in Sunny Isles Beach because they're not going to get an actual physical ticket for $100 or $200 or whatever that is? That's what I hear over and over again.
I think when we put together this workshop, Chris is going to bring the chief, and we're going to get a report on that because I think part of it's reality and part of it's perception. It's a combination of, as always, it's never as cut and dry as we'd like it to be. But I can tell you that my comment to the city manager last week was, tell them to stop writing warnings, write tickets until the cows come home. And I told him, I said, I'd like to walk into the commission meeting on Thursday and report that 1,000 tickets got written this week. So
that's
again,
the point, Bud, because the point is that you would think, you hate, my husband hates running through Golden Beach because he's going to get a ticket. People are clamoring for the police to give tickets for speeding and feeling and he's speeding up and speeding. And it's like the residents really want tickets to be issued. They don't want the opposite. That's the irony of this.
Yeah. And that was my point to Chris when I called him. I said at this point, because, usually, it's a resident, whatever the police, our police are community police officers. They try to work with people. But my point to Chris last week was that it doesn't matter. Don't write any warnings. But in any case, I think we're going to get statistics, and we're going to create create a more robust plan. But I know the police are already writing more tickets. I can promise you this week I saw a lot of tickets getting written. So it may not be apparent to folks yet. Yeah, exactly.
No greater deterrent than, hit you in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
In the pocket.
Yeah, no question. So, okay, Mauricio, keep going. Mauricio, you're on mute.
Sorry. Anna, go ahead.
And Anna, you're on mute. There you go.
Okay. Good evening. Yes, this has been devastated to all families in Sunny Isles, the accidents and the many that happened before. I just wanted to comment that we are a very different community than Golden Beach and Bell Harbor. So we have to find a way to make a solution that can adapt to Sunny Isles, because we have many entrances to our city. It's very different. So of course, the traffic is going to behave differently. I am a person that loves education, and I think another solution could be make a very aggressive campaign, so we all here understand what it is to walk good or bad on the streets, what it is to drive good or bad, and all these consequences. We have to fix it, but this workshop will bring the education to all of us, because believe it or not only tourists were the ones that were, doing these accidents, even residents. So obviously we forgot how to just behave in a little community. This is packed with people. It's like, I like to call this a very luxurious sardine can. We have this wonderful place packed with people with no space. So we have to find a way, an alternative way, think beyond the tickets. The tickets are good, the police enforcement is good, but education, that is the key. If we are all responsible for our own lives and understand the others, the principle of respect others, then maybe we can stop this, because it's nonsense. Lately, the negativity is so badly that no one respects anybody, and that should not be a community. We're better than that. Thank you for all you do. That's all.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, very good point. And you're right. I mean, truthfully, Golden Beach is a single-family neighborhood and one roadway. So the enforcement, and Bal Harbor is really not that much different, because there's a single-family neighborhood, the mall, and one roadway. So it is different, and I agree. We have different challenges given our multiple, access points. But I think the overriding theme of what you said is absolutely true. We got to work together. We need more education. We got to take responsibility for our own actions. And I would say that, a lot of our residents don't pay attention to the traffic laws either, and so it's, that's part and parcel to moving forward. So, okay, Mauricio.
Okay, we have Isabella.
Isabella?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Isabella, you're on mute. Bottom left of your screen, you can click on the mute button. Yeah, you're still on mute. Okay. Can we come back to Isabella, Mauricio?
Yeah, we'll come back to her.
Okay.
Okay. Yude, go ahead.
Okay, I'm here again. And another
Hi,
two
Yude.
things. Hi. Long time no see.
Yeah.
The only thing it's really bothered me lately, we have like something new here. It's like the electric scooter, which some of them with no light, and you can hear them behind you. And some of the runner here, which are North Bay Road and Collins Avenue, they can't even hear the traffic, and the car can drive by them. They go with the headphone and they don't hear anybody behind them, beside them. And the scooter, it's really, really dangerous, because when I walk with my dog, my reaction is quick, but you can't really pull them very quick, because it can run by the scooter, because they can't stop right away and they drive it like maniac. This is one thing. The second thing, in North Bay Road, we have a lot of Uber, And on Collins Avenue, we have a lot of Uber and Lyft, and they drop people in the middle of the street. I mean, on the right side, doesn't make a difference because they stop the traffic and they take passenger off because they're going to restaurant. They don't go to the right to 186th Street to drop them off just in the middle of the street because they have to go to the restaurant. And in North Bay Road, we have also the Ubers because we have a lot of Airbnb. They're driving here, like zip in, zip out. And when you walk with the dog, it's really, really dangerous. So this is another thing to be concerned.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
The good news is when the for rent scooter people came around, I told them don't even try it. There's the scooters all over Miami that you can grab a scooter and rent it and move and go from place to place and leave it. I think it's Bird and there's a couple of them out there. And I just I had and we got a little pushback, but the fact is when the city manager and I talked about it, I said they are not safe and they're not appropriate for our city. So the scooters you're talking about are private ones, which I agree. People have to be careful, and we got to figure out a way to make sure that people aren't getting hurt from private scooters. But the rental ones that are all over Miami now, it's a nightmare. And frankly, they're hard to control. People think it's just you hop on like it's like a kid's scooter. The damn things go 20, 25 miles an hour. They're very fast. They have no shocks. You hit a little bump in the road and it pops you right off the thing. I've seen a lot of people do face plants off of those things. So they're dangerous, and I completely agree with you. So thank you. Mauricio.
We can try Isabella one more time.
Okay, Isabella, I'm sorry. We missed you the first time. Now you have to come. You're still on mute. So you got to figure out how to come off of mute. Yeah, if you want to text your comment, Isabella, I'm sorry. You're not coming off of mute for some reason. I don't know why.
She actually commented on some of the other people's comments. Okay. I mean, if I read it right now, it won't really make sense.
Yeah, I see it we saw it. Yeah, it's all public because we saw it all in the comment section. So,
yeah.
The
only other comment that there is there, Mayor, is it reads, after what happened, we were expecting more police presence, at least to show that the city is taking immediate action.
Okay. Yeah. I believe there has been, to be honest with you. I mean, I've actually seen it. But again, I think at this point, people are frustrated. So enough is never going to be enough. I mean, there's no question. So I think we're going to address the notion of, are we staffing this properly? Do we have the right traffic enforcement details? Are we going to restructure? I think we're going to look at, like we said, nothing's off the table at this point. So we're going to look hard at it.
Even
Dana.
even a revisitation of the speed limit reduction issue, because I know we received a letter from FDOT, and I don't know if these increasing incidents moves the needle at all, or is that is that on the table?
I don't think so.
As well?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's off the table, but frankly, again, we tried 4 times, and this isn't the first time somebody got seriously injured.
But how many,
I mean, we've tried 4 times.
How many more? You've tried. How many more casualties do we have to, before this is, before somebody's going to say this is something that's working?
Yeah, no one's arguing with you, but I think we tried as soon as a few months ago. So this is this is my point. But in any case, but like we said, nothing's off the table. We'll pull a workshop together. We'll get some experts involved. And I think the experts will help us, give us some guidance on what we think is actually achievable and not achievable. So, okay, Mauricio, any other comments? Or is that
not for this? We just have one minor comment for the Citizens Forum, number 13.
Okay, but we have one more discussion item from Commissioner Goldman.
Yes.
That was the add-on 12C, in-person meetings. Go ahead, Dana.
When are we going to get back into in-person? I mean, here's the concern, as I've expressed it before. We are going to get some quasi-judicial matters. We're going to get some site plans, and can we adopt something where we move into some sort of as other municipalities have done? Can we get a comfort level and sometime in the near future?
I'm not there yet. I mean, I personally am not there yet. I haven't had a management meeting with my management team in 9 months. Okay. It's the same issue. I just, I think that, but again, the only good news here is I feel that every month we're making more progress. So, but I'm not willing to sit here today and say in 2 months we're going to have an in-public meeting. I'm just not willing to do it yet because, we're not there yet. The vaccine's just getting rolled out. We're not even sure of the efficacy of the vaccine because of these other variants that are out there. I still think it would be, I just don't think it would be responsible, of the city to start packing people into the commission chambers. And then we're going to say, okay, well, only every third seat can be filled. Well, then we're going to have a dozen people in here. And then what about the 20 or the 30 or the 40 that have to stay outside? It doesn't make sense to me yet. So for that reason, so that's my 2 cents on that one.
Can we revisit this in 2 months from now or,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll revisit it next month. I mean, again, all I care about is, all I want to see is progress. I'm not, believe me, I don't enjoy this. I don't like sitting in a room alone that's silent with my headphones on. It's not fun. And by the way, and I don't think it's as effective as an in-person meeting. There's no question in my mind. I'm totally frustrated with my own, all the things I have to manage for OneBlood. It's completely frustrating because I haven't sat with, great example. Okay. Somebody brought up the other day on one of my management meetings and said, boy, this work at home stuff's working really good. And I said, who on the calls met the new HR director of benefits? And all I heard was crickets. This is my point. My point is it makes a big difference when we get together in person, the dynamics, the public being here. I've said 100 times, even when the public is walking in 300 with pitchforks ready to kill me, I'm actually the happiest because it shows public engagement. And you guys have heard me say that many, many times. These meetings where people show up and they're really upset and they're really fired up and we get 100, 200, 300 people here are my favorite meetings because it shows me that people are passionate. Just like we're talking tonight. I believed if we had an in-person meeting, we'd have packed the chambers tanight.
100%.
And that would have been a good thing. It's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So my point is, Dana, but I also believe we have to continue to be responsible and set the right example for the public on where we are truly at, regarding the positivity rate, of this virus. So, but we can talk about it on every single meeting. I got no issue with that. So, okay. Thank you. Okay. Mauricio, our last public comment. Go. Mauricio, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay. So Patrick Dunn, address is 317 191st Terrace. So while contacting code compliance in the past to no avail, perhaps you may advise as to the lack of enforcement when it comes to multiple oceanfront facilities not adhering to our city's code when it comes to emergency and property line buffers when staging chairs and umbrellas. Not only are they obstructing, but discouraging public use of the beach.
Okay. I mean, this has been an ongoing issue and that, Susan and her group manages it. It's difficult because it's like, we have guidelines and then it creeps, especially this time of year. This is the busiest time of year, obviously, because this is tourist season. And it really, it's extraordinary how busy we are, with the pandemic going on. So I think, Patrick, we hear you, and I'm going to instruct the city manager to talk to Susan and code enforcement and see if it's, and basically, take a look at it. Patrick, what I'd also ask you to do is reach out to the city manager and tell him what your specific concerns are. What areas you feel are getting stepped on. So that would be very helpful. Okay, Mauricio, what else do we have?
The very last one, this is from Connie Orlando. She says, in regards to dogs on the beach, nobody's reinforcing the no dogs allowed by law.
Okay. Again, Chris, if you can have a look at that as well. So, okay, 10:15. This is a humdinger. I get to go home and see my.
I'm sorry. Before you close, I just want to say something.
Go ahead, Jennifer. Wait, I see
May
two
I?
attendees with their hands up too. Yep. Go ahead, Jennifer. Yep.
I just wanted to note that when we meet next month, it'll have been a year since the pandemic, and I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be saying that. It's been a year of adjustments and face masks, and I just want to focus on the positive, how incredibly impressed I have been by several things. Number one, the city staff, I think, has done an amazing job through everything, adjusting the media, the programming, the sanitizing. I just want to, it's been a year, and I just wanted to commend the city staff, and I also wanted to tell the students that how impressed I am, how they've really soldiered through. Some are still home, some, they're wearing face masks, some have teachers on screens, and they're still out there performing. It's amazing. I think we could learn a lot from them. They've adjusted really well.
Sure.
And just like last month, I highlighted Vice Mayor Svechin because she made us look good. She won an award. She was recognized for what she's doing. Our students are doing that too. And in fact, one of our students won the top award. Her name is Anna Alcazar. She won the top award for the Miami-Dade County Science Fair. They're making us look good, even when they don't think that we're noticing, but we do, and we appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you to the students for hanging in there, and I appreciate it.
Okay. Mauricio, we've got two hands left on the attendees. I don't want to cut anybody off. So Jody, you want to go first? Can we pull Jody up?
Yes.
And you're on mute. There you go. You're off. Go ahead.
Joseph again, we're sharing.
Hey, Jer.
Hold on. Hi, bud. Also, congratulations on your granddaughter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Also, I know I must speak about this white elephant that's in the room. I know you might not want to hear it, but we have 17 homes in Sonora Beach, waterfront homes, that have a tremendously bad issue with Desert owning the bay bottom. And it's like it's become a serfdom where I know myself and there are several other houses that are looking to have, and we were in to speak to Chris about this. Larissa knows about it. We have never heard anything from her, even though she knows about this issue. I myself and several other houses are looking to modify or repair their docks. We need to now go to Desert since October of 2018, when our docks were originally built. Publix owned the property. They were benign. They never even asked, and Durham never needed for us to get permission from Publix. They allowed whatever to be done, pilings on the bay bottom. Now, Desert, if you want to do anything, you have to sign that you will agree to any project in the world that he wants to do. You have to agree. You cannot speak about him. If he wants you to walk on Collins Avenue with a sign, "I love Desert," you have to do it, or he can take your dock away. I mean, it's just outrageous. In 2015, the city had the opportunity to buy the bay bottom. Yes. In 2000.
Okay, that's news. Well, I was in office in 2015. That I don't remember, Jerry.
I understand,
Go
but
ahead.
we're in a situation when Desert did the land swap with Publix, and at the same time, he didn't buy the property then, but he arranged with Publix that he would buy it at a later date. At that time, the city could have stepped in and protected $32 million he paid. It would have been a lot less back then. Could have protected the homeowners. We've all now lost value. We don't have deeded docks. We don't even have rights to even fish in the water. If you and Chris, you read the language.
We brought the papers
We brought this into you, Chris.
Remember?
I never heard back from you.
We've been trying
Jerry.
to find documents on this issue Claudia's department has been, we can't even get with the county and everything else. I don't know if Claudia wants to add anything to this.
But maybe this needs to go to
we
the state
can't find,
legislature.
we can't
Because
find.
But Jerry, let's be clear. We never had an opportunity to buy that bay bottom. He always wanted that bay bottom because he knew he wanted to build a marina. So that was tied to that land deal. So I just be careful with the misinformation because we didn't have an opportunity to buy it. Clearly it's an issue.
No,
I understand it's an issue.
That the city could have stepped in and purchased it.
Us.
To protect
We
us.
couldn't have. Jerry, we never had the opportunity to do it, just to be clear. We never had it. He would have never sold it to us because he wanted a marina there, associated with the land. That's why he paid. That's why he paid as much as he paid for the Publix property. We had a huge lawsuit with Publix for years over that submerged land. There's a long history there, unfortunately. I'm not saying we're not sympathetic to your issue, but
That's not my issue.
unfortunately,
I'm not speaking, but
I know.
there are 17
Yeah.
homeowners. There are some.
I know. No, believe me, I know. I know.
That paid $5 million for a house that now they don't own their dock. They thought they
Right.
owned their dock. I mean, there are people.
Unfortunately, they didn't have a good title lawyer when they bought their house. This is the
Well,
problem. The problem is nobody looked at the issue. I would go back to my real estate lawyer, but that's besides the point. So, but I'm not saying we're not sympathetic to the issue. And, the only thing that I think we can try to do is when Desert comes in for approvals, okay, for that project across the street or that project adjacent to you, that's when we're going to have a day of reckoning of some sort, because that's when we're going to have some leverage. Right now, it's a civil matter. We don't have any leverage. I mean, because we don't own the bay bottom, he does. And unfortunately, when those houses were purchased, whoever did the title work on those houses missed that issue. And that's the bottom line.
Durham was not requiring at the time to get permission of the landowner, of the bay bottom owner.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is that Publix has had that title a long time, because we had lawsuits going back 15 years over that bay bottom, because what they tried to do was they tried to say that the bay bottom would give them additional development rights for the upland. And we fought them for 7 years. Cliff Schulman represented them. So I'm very familiar with the fact that bay bottom, has been in play for a long time. Again, you're right. Publix never wanted to be punitive on the adjacent landowners. That wasn't an issue. Unfortunately, when the land changed hands, the new owner felt a different story. But again,
he's looking now for a hurricane because his language attempts to give him rights to the upland, which is just outrageous.
Oh, he wins the lotto. If there's a hurricane, as sad as that is, that's when everyone has to go him and beg that we have.
Yeah. I'm not aware. I mean, that I'm not aware of, and I don't understand the issue. But my point is that I can tell you the day the city will have, I believe, some ability to negotiate and try to deal with this when he comes in for development approvals. That's when we're going to have some ability. Before that, unfortunately, like I said, whoever bought a house there and unfortunately didn't understand, or their lawyers did not research, because Atlantic Island's very similar. There's like, I own the bay bottom behind my house, for instance. Not everybody owns it. So it's material, with my deed and my and my title work on my house. In this case, it's unfortunately, it's a complex real estate issue. And, and he's not he's the kind of guy that's trying to create a better opportunity for himself, with the neighbors when he comes in for these development approvals.
Well,
but I can tell you,
plans in with Durham. I have my approvals from the city. I'm not signing his papers. I'm going to fight him on this arena. We have a quiet grove here now, and that's not what he wants to have here. I am going to fight this until the end.
I agree.
Him.
I'm not arguing with you. Yeah, I agree. I think that, again, this is the issue, but we will try to, I believe that, like I said, I believe that we will have some, we'll try to create a set of arguments when he comes in for development approvals, because right now we couldn't do anything if we wanted to. I mean, I can't preclude him from, exercising rights on land that he owns. Unfortunately, we haven't got that capability. So, But I think he's going about it completely the wrong way. And I've already told him that, to be perfectly honest with you. I told him this is not how you deal with the neighbors, you know,
Well, I'm
quite
gonna take
frankly.
language to the state legislature, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. So,
You know, we can't,
okay.
like
But
a grandkid, you know, we can't even, my daughter, you know, has friends. They go fishing. We're not allowed to go
Yeah.
fishing with a little fishing rod on the dock. How insane
Yeah.
is that? They're not allowed to make
it's
noise.
insane.
They can't dance.
I understand.
No, you haven't read it.
Yeah.
Chris read it. Chris, are you there?
We don't have any
We're supposed to get
documents
back to us,
that
Chris.
show that Desert has the right to do that yet. We have not found any document,
It's actually tyranny. If you, I mean,
lease,
Yeah, I
survey,
understand.
anything.
So, okay. But
All
I
right.
think, again,
problem, guys.
we're aware of the issue.
Posted on my
We're aware of the issue. We're going to help you in any way we can, but, you know, it's a difficult issue right now. There's no question.
Yeah, but you know
So-
what? Everything, when we first started this whole thing, I mean, everybody was
I'm sorry, Jody. So we just lost you. Okay. All right. Yeah, Jody, we're going to move on. We're going to move on if you don't mind. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yude, last but not least.
Okay,
You-
last
there
but
you
not
go.
least, yeah. First of all, you can do something about it. You can move the name instead 185th Street. You can move it back to 185th Street instead Desert Way, which it doesn't fit our neighborhood. So that's the
Right.
first thing you can do. Why it's not
And by the
married,
way,
that's
I don't like naming things. You've never seen me name a single thing since I've been in office, and I've been lobbied a lot to name
okay.
streets. I don't
So-
like it. I don't
so
like it.
is-
I've never liked it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so is the decision to put his name there? So to tell the who put the name there, whoever he paid to put the name there, to take the name off because it's going to stay 185th Street. So, and what Judy and Jerry was talking about, it's like I spoke with Marisa like 2 meetings ago or 3 meetings ago about I want to know who owned the water. Now I understand it's Desert. And I want to know about the marina too, which we're going to be against the marina. And when my husband bought this house, it was in the 1980, and we have the grandfather. So wherever Desert think he own, he has, you know, big root of Vikings. And we're going to fight it
Understood.
anyway. So, and another 2 things, it's like very important. All the people living in the condominium across the street, we are the toilet and Golden Gate. They're coming. I have camera every single night. I take picture of 5, 6 people with the dog. They make all over, and we going in the nighttime and we step all over somebody poop in my house, in the cross the street the house, and it's disaster. And nobody does anything. You tell the police say, call the code enforcement. You call the code enforcement, they're putting sign, they don't give a ticket. They don't give a ticket. And we have to go and to pick up every single poop. And this is not our job. This is like disgusting. So we have this issue too.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's it for tonight.
That's it for tonight. Okay, 10:30. A nice compact 4-hour meeting. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for participating. I think it was a productive meeting. You know, we can't solve all the problems in one night, but I think getting problems on the table and getting productive is a great start. So thank you everyone for participating. Have a great night. Bye-bye.